Hello, and welcome back to the Clampus Championship. My name is John Allen, with me is Gio. We're going to be getting underway very shortly with some PUBG Mobile. The universities of England have been battling it out, and I think the rest
Scotland.
of the UK as well. And the rest,
there are
Scotland
some Scottish universities in there.
Is there a Welsh university left? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Swansea. I think Swansea have a team.
Oh, look at that. Okay, all of the UK being represented here, and we're going to be getting underway with it relatively shortly. I was in here last week, but Gio, you're new in this week. Let's take a look at the standings.
Yeah, not entirely down with what happened last week. So nice to see University of West London still sat at the top, John. It really looks like they're not going to relinquish that spot very easily.
No, it's pretty much guaranteed that they are going to be taking the top spot. Speaking of which, of course, that means that they would net themselves a cool £1,000 and a spot in the Club Open, the PMCO, the full split for 2020. So that would be pretty good to be able to take home there. 6 chicken dinners. It feels like it's pretty deserved.
Yeah, I remember back in the second week, which was the first week I did, and there were a couple of teams that all had 1 chicken dinner each, and now you're actually starting to see a little bit more of where things become slightly more imbalanced. Of course, as you say, University of West London sitting there with 6 chicken dinners, and Oldham Mops have 3, PUBG Mobile KW have 2, and you've kind of got, you know, the ones and the zeros sort of interspersed throughout, and that's where you really start to see kind of where those the teams that are a little bit more consistent with those sort of things come out.
Yeah, speaking of consistency, so a team that I was watching last week, and for good reason, of course, from my hometown, Kingston, the Kingstonian squad in 5th, I was just saying that they were pretty much consistently staying exactly where they needed to be. They were doing very, very well there, and you can see they managed to maintain that 5th spot. It doesn't look like there's too many pretenders to that throne there, but obviously trying to move up might be pretty tricky. So really the story here for me is that 2-3-4 lineup.
Yeah, I think I would agree because, as you say, it's virtually impossible for anyone to take that top spot off of University of West London, and we have seen quite a scrappy battle between these next 4 teams throughout the course of this competition. And so, of course, this week is really going to be where they're going to have to, you know, turn up the gas and push for it to see who can really win those out. And of course, we always bring up University of Kent. They already have a pro PUBG Mobile player on, and he's been doing a great job for them. But it's more about the other teams that have been challenging University of Kent, particularly, have been trying to work together as a team and bring together kind of like the sum of their parts to go against this one guy who's been bringing such leadership to them. And that's why things have been really tight in those 4 spots below first.
Yeah, and there's only so much that one guy can do, right? Like, he basically got his friends to download the game so he could play in this tournament and try and 1v squad. But, you know, they're doing pretty well. Sat in 3rd place. It seems to have gone all right for them. Of course, 3rd place going to net them a cheeky little 600 quid, so they'll be happy with that one. Yeah, Oldham Ops, they like to be aggressive, sat down there. We'll see how they're able to continue it into this week. I think we're going to be playing 4 maps today, and we'll take a look at the schedule just to get us underway. Of course, we'll be starting off on Erangel and then moving through the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of situation every week. Erangel, Miramar, Sanhok, and Vikendi. So you get that nice sort of variety of playstyles, different teams you can pop off on different maps. It's always very exciting to see one team who does really well on Erangel might not do so good on Sanhok and vice versa. So it's always nice to see every week kind of all those different skills be able to be brought out.
Well, in order to do well, you need some points, Gio. And how do you get points? Well, you have a points breakdown, of course. Getting that chicken dinner gets you those 20 placement points, and whatever kills you manage to get, those go 1-to-1 on your score tally to try and move up the board.
Yeah, this is pretty huge, pretty important. It's something that we've kind of brought up most weeks, is the fact that teams, obviously, they want to be going for those kills. You can not only eliminate the competition, rack up points for yourself, but it is really getting those top spots in the standings in each map is what's going to fire you up in the overall standings. You know, you want to be getting those the 20, the 14, the 10 points because it just pushes you so much further up.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you know, if you get a chicken dinner every time, sure, that's great. You do want some kills with it. If you're sort of sat around that 5-kill mark when there's about 6 teams left, you've done pretty well. Because, I mean, that already gives you 11 points. And that's a decent scoreline to be sort of pushing towards the middle of the table. But when you look at the top of the tables, you need to be hitting those 19-point averages per game to get into that top 4 spot. you're going to be looking at a pretty decent average of around 15, I believe, something like, I have to do the maths exactly, but it's around that sort of level.
Yeah, this is why I would say I like looking out for these teams like Oldham Ops, because as you say, they're an aggressive team. They like to be going in for those kills, but sometimes we see them kind of stumble and trip too early than they really should be doing in the space of a map, because they don't necessarily make it all the way to those final spots, into those final stages or phases, I should say, of the round. And that's something they've really had to improve upon, and which they have done. That's why they're sitting there with 3 chicken dinners right now. But it would be really nice to see those teams kind of increase their longevity, because that's what's gonna really be the make or break for them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's only 2 teams with triple-digit kill scores, and that is Oldham and UWL, right? Mm-hmm. So that speaks to just how aggressive they are being. Yeah. Obviously, it is very, very close at the top, but you can see that, PUBG Mobile KW, for instance, sat in 2nd place before. They were on 123 placement points and 86 kills. That is 14 less kills than Oldham Ops over the course of things. So, it does pay to wait for a little bit. Speaking of waiting, we are just waiting for a few of the teams to load up into the lobby and getting underway.
It always happens. Always got to be waiting for everybody to get on board. But then, of course, I mean, to be honest, we have had a couple of weeks where there have been teams not playing with a full squad of 4. Oh man, which university is it that I'm thinking of that had that for a couple of rounds, and they did really well.
University of Kent has been playing with 3. That was
there was a team where they have, I don't have the sheet with all the teams on it that we usually have in the studio with me, of course, so that's why it's kind of harder to remember. But the team where they were yellow, I remember that, and there were only 2 of them, and they sort of lasted way longer than they had any business doing.
That's the thing.
They're able to provide such a threat.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of the thing, because of the level of play that you're seeing. If we're being honest, it's not at the level of something like the PMCO or even further on towards those championship levels, that pro level. We're seeing teams able to slip through the cracks in a way that you just wouldn't be able to against these pro squads who they have their rotations set down. They know exactly which ways they're looking, what they're looking out for. All of these sight lines are covered, whereas in games like this, you can get through to that top 5, top 4, top 3 even, just by crawling on your belly, because people won't be looking out for you as much.
Yeah, I mean, you've got one of the really important things about PUBG, and obviously by extension PUBG Mobile, is in the early game, you have to pick your battles very smartly. And that's where, in a lot of cases, those kinds of things become very, very important. That's where you discern sort of the strategical side of a lot of these teams, because it's not just about, where you choose to land, the rotations you choose to make, but it's about, okay, there's a lot more people around. Yes, we have more space on the map, but we need to ensure that we're picking our battles smartly. And some things that we've seen is some teams that are a little bit lower on the standings, they'll go for a team like UWL very early on, and then they'll find that they get sandwiched between them and a team like KEKW, for example. Yeah. And suddenly you're trapped and you have to commit to these fights. Whereas other teams will play a little bit smarter. They'll try and get some positional advantage. Maybe you can pick off 1 or 2 members. Maybe you can distract members of the team. If you manage to knock down a player of one of the kind of heavy hitters, and you encourage the rest of the team to go and relinquish their positioning because they want to help them up, that's quite strategically good. And that's sort of things you want to be looking out for.
Yeah, and on the flip side, if you're one of those top teams, you need to be prioritizing keeping all 4 of those players alive, right? That's what we were seeing UWL able to do last week, and pretty consistently, was committing to making sure they were all safe and all rotating together. They were pretty much playing very fundamentally strong PUBG Mobile. Nothing flashy, nothing, out of the box, just by the book stuff that really, really paid off for them. So it was nice to see that pays off in this sort of an environment.
And that's the thing, and that's something that's been really nice about the development of these teams over the course of this competition, is a lot of these players, as we know, don't have loads of experience of playing this game at the competitive level. We don't know how many of these teams even scrim. I'd imagine at least some of them, especially those at the top, probably do. And then, of course, you have University of Kent, who have the experience of a guy on their team being from that professional background. But as a general thing, they won't have had that. And being part of this competition, having something to fight for and consistently trying to improve, that's given them an excuse to improve and adapt, to probably look back, VOD review, learn what their teams are doing. And that's invaluable when it comes to things like that, being able to outsmart your opponents through strategic decisions rather than just kind of running in like you might if you're, I don't know, playing solos or just playing with a group of friends, like casually one evening, and just being like, cool, I'm gonna like get some kills and, you know, it's whatever. This isn't just whatever. This is, oh no, I've got something to fight for and I've got something to improve for.
Yeah, and it is, you know, that's the entire sort of ethos behind the whole thing, right? Is give people a place to compete and they will improve, which is exactly what the NSC have managed to do. So it's nice to see that. Obviously, you know, I was out in Malaysia doing the whole global stuff, but I started out in the UK university scene.
Flex. Had to bring
hey,
out
look,
the flex.
I've got the pillows in the background, like, you know,
so I was out doing the world championships, but I used to be in the university scene.
No, I did, and it's nice to go back to where I came from, back to my roots, to the grassroots, in fact, where the NSC is providing a brilliant platform.
Back to the small people, right, John?
You done?
I'm just adding in the subtext.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
But it is nice to come back and see these grassroots have been growing fantastically. So, and I'm excited to do it in a game like PUBG Mobile, where obviously I've had a lot of growth myself. Which is
I think it's probably also interesting because, you know, back when you were working in university scene, there wasn't a really strong university scene for PUBG Mobile, and now we have this.
Exactly. Speaking of this, we are going to be getting into game number 1 of the day. Of the final day, of course, we'll be deciding our winners. Although it is pretty much all but decided here. UWO, you can see them there, Saint heading up the plane, and we will be dropping over the east side.
Just got to wait and see where everyone's going to decide to go. Now, I'm always such a chaotic evil when it comes to where I want the play zone to be. I'm always like, okay, bring it down onto the military base or bring it down onto an area with loads of water. But actually, this doesn't really look like a trajectory that's giving me those chaotic vibes.
No, it should be pretty open. I mean, you might isolate Primorsk, maybe. Military base could be a little bit more risky given it's late on the path, but you're right. I don't see too much variation. People will be able to go where they want.
Yeah, seeing a lot of the squads kind of disperse out towards the north side of the map. And I mean, one thing that I've noticed over the weeks that this competition's been running and I've been casting it is these teams generally don't have a huge problem with making rotations. And I don't know if maybe that's because, you know, when you see PUBG get played at the really high levels, that's something that teams will be coached about how to specifically oppose those sorts of things. But oftentimes it's more about the early gunfights and the early positioning relative to your neighbors in this competition so far. And there we go, we have our first circle, which, yeah, I mean, obviously it's pretty big at this point in the competition, or at this point in the round, I should say, but very land-based.
Yeah, pretty heavily western shift as well. So maybe, you know, given the early nature of the easterly nature of the plane, people are going to have to move a little bit west. Anyone who dropped north of that river that separates the two sort of sections of the main island on Erangel, they're going to have to push through those choke points on the bridges.
I'm going to be particularly interested to see what ECG up in the northeast decide to do, because I don't know if they did this last week when you were casting, John, but they certainly did the week before, is they play this really bizarre playstyle where they all completely separate, play in like basically different corners of the map, and just try and be like, okay, if one of us survives, at least we got this far. And so I'm interested to see, given that they are pretty much the furthest away from that play zone, how that's gonna go.
Yeah, it looks like they are a little bit together to start off with, though, up near the hills of Stalber and that sort of thing. Oh wait, no, it looks like they might have split a little bit more. I think, is that on the hills? I think that is on the hills, but they are dotted around quite a little bit. Oh yeah, they are all up to the northeast, so they haven't split just yet, Geo, but there is time left in the day. Looks like a little scuffle though in the middle.
Yeah, a little scuffle indeed. And that's very close to where KEKW are as well, which is one of those top teams that need to be very concerned about. And as we were saying, that early aggression coming in, University of Sterling hopping in a vehicle here, and they're very close up.
I think they don't know that there's a guy in the building there. The question is, will they be able to spot him out? I think they might have just seen his head bobbing around through the window. This buggy not really going so well for them right now. They managed to get it down on the outside, but they are just going to continue to move on through the terrain. They don't want to be sticking around. Get the knock, take away those meds, that helmet, that armor, and it seems to have done them wonders.
Yeah, it just gives them some... That early aggression, it causes a problem for the opponents as well, because obviously you kind of have to bear in mind, not only is it about sort of selfishly taking the kills for yourself, but also reducing the competition that you have to deal with later. UWL also going to be thinking along the same lines as they come up to Heriot Watt here. Now, remember, there are two squads that represent Heriot Watt University. Pretty big PUBG Mobile University, but Cable, of course, getting that knock there. And can he finish it off?
Oh, we're not too sure. They are going to crawl behind, but the push comes in. The cable's still there. There's backup as well from the sidelines. They do manage to confirm it. The spray around the corner is good, but cable's low. Has to hunker down for now. I don't think any of his enemies are in sight, and they will get away with it. 2 kills for UWL to start.
Yeah, and of course, Saint coming up and joining him not only for the loot, but also he can provide, you know, watching his flank a little bit, just in case anybody else were nearby. There's that first aid kit. It's going to be able to heal himself back up. And it looks, as you say, for now, UWL will live to see another day. And of course, being the team that are sat at the top of the standings, you would expect this from them.
What's interesting about that as well is, given that they are so far in the lead and essentially guaranteed to be taking that top spot, any points that they get are just being taken away from the point pool for the rest of these teams to compete over, which means that their variability in terms of who's going to do well gets reduced pretty significantly. If they continue to keep getting kills at this sort of rate, then it could be pretty interesting to see who's going to be able to clamber up, who's going to use that ladder of chaos.
It's basically BM. And speaking of BM, Hazza just finishing off a Jinker there. And of course, another member of University of Sterling, it'll be Hazard up in the distance. He's got no one around him to be able to help him, and it's basically just a free kill at this point. And Hazza, one of the more aggressive players that we've seen from KEKW, so he's just happy to go up on his own. He's not in a rush, pick up some loot first, and then he can just finish it off right here.
Bit of hazard on hazard action there. They will be able to pick up the point for it. KEKW 2 kills, which is going to start them off well. We'll have to see who's going to be able to ride on in, but it's the University of Sterling. The backup has arrived a little bit too late, I'm afraid, so it is a 2 versus 4 on that pull-up. People yet to start really rotating. KEKW, though, I think they are still engaged in that fight as they continue to go forwards. Too fast for you. Has a pins just a little bit. They do have the flank with Wang. Too fast for you. Lovely drop shot there coming out, actually. Able to get the knock. Should be able to get some healing done, but he only has bandages. Wang as well. He's going to have 2 first aids. Might look to drop one over, but both of them very, very low. He's been shot, spotted out from the back. The spray is there, and everyone else goes down. Nice little wide swing coming out from KEKW.
Yeah, both Cheers Love and Firecracker. Again, players that we've called out throughout the competition, especially Firecracker. One thing that he's done very well for KEKW so far is be able to play quite threateningly, I want to say, even when left on his own. And so he's very able to carry his own even in those situations, which is why he's more likely to sort of be left without that sort of backup as the rest of the team play together. UCL, this is a team that typically they drop out early. They have early deaths. It's not a squad that we've seen last particularly long in many of these games at all. But it looks for now that they're fairly alone. They don't have much of a threat, but it's not going to be all that long before they do eventually have to face that.
For now, they'll just see if they can bide their time, tread water as the sharks swirl around them. But this is the sort of quiet period now. After the initial hot drops that may or may not have come out here, people are starting to get that loot on board, get healed up, and start to think about where they're looking to go. So the rotations are going to be coming in those next 2 minutes, and that's where we could see some fireworks.
And this is Will, of course, the guy we always bring up, just leaving the rest of his team behind. No, I'm just joking. They're all just bringing themselves. Of course, they are going by the PUBG mobile law. That is, don't have your whole squad in one vehicle because it's just a recipe for disaster. So ensure that you're bringing multiple vehicles so that if anything happens to one of them, at least there are other guys on your team who are going to be safe. And safe they are going to remain for now. Just picking up some more loot. As you say, it's in a quiet spot for now. They're staying very close to that road. They'll be able to make fast rotations as they need to. Just wanting to hop into those very small buildings and compounds to pick up what they can while en route.
Play with 4 players as well. Last week there were only 3 in this squad. Will plus 2, we'll call them. I think it was Ben Usher and Sleeper in the last round, but he's managed to find that 4th. Osiris going to be gracing them with his presence. Now, the circle's just about to shrink. ECG still yet to make that move. They are still quite split, Geo, so, you know, they are maybe going to stick to their guns, but everyone now starting to move in.
Well, oh, very central circle. Okay, so that means people aren't going to be having to rush over all the way to the west. And actually, that loot drop that did just drop is outside the circle. Unlikely anyone's going to be going for that. But we're going to be seeing teams like UWO who really like to cling to the perimeter of the circle, probably wait a little bit, and that could make things a little bit harder for Tad here, who are currently crossing the bridge. They don't have anyone really waiting for them on the other side, but they are going to have to watch their flank as they're followed up by the best team in the competition.
Yeah, and of course they've got the older mops off to their west as well, coming north from Ferry Pier, who will need to push into the circle. So that seems to be a pretty tricky spot for them. The Addicts, though, they did start to show up last week. We were impressed. Me and Scoundrel were watching that one, and they a little bit too late in order to get towards that top spot. But they were giving everyone a run for their money. Looks like they might be trying to take on the older mops as well.
Yeah, it looks like you might be right. Maybe playing a little bit aggressively here. Ops just, I was going to say chilling out there, getting in those vehicles. Itty just watching from afar onto the Addicts. They know where they are, just they're not rushing into anything. And this is the thing I said at the beginning, John, is this team have had an issue with that. But I say that and Itba's going to be falling.
Yeah, he was trapped in the building. The rest of the Ops had already moved off to the north, and that's an easy kill for Tad, for the Addicts, but they are going to have to continue to move through. That's going to give their positions away as well. So a lot of info gained for the Oldham Ops for the cost of 1 life.
And of course, the Addicts are going to be feeling pretty good about that. As you mentioned, the point that you made earlier about as these top teams start to gain points, that's fewer points available to the rest of the squads. And so Ops being one of those top 5 teams, it's pretty huge that that point has been able to be taken away from them.
A little bit of a ride together, die together there for UWL, despite being at the top. I think they might be a little bit overconfident. They're very wary of these bridge campers. You can see them completely scanning every single angle. Discipline there, but it's going to go a little bit to waste in this game. No one's waiting for them.
Indeed, no one is. Wait, he's like, let me in. No one is, but it's really good to have that discipline. I mean, this is the reason that they are at the top, because they're ensuring that they are covering every single angle, every single threat that could be possibly coming up to them, rather than just running and gunning and hoping for the best.
It's a time and a place for that, and they do manage to make it work when it needs to be. But you're right, they just choose those fights so well. Because every fight, you're essentially flipping a coin. It might be a little bit biased one way or the other, but the better way to survive later in the game is not to take the fight in the first place. So if you can avoid it, doing so will net you probably a little bit more in terms of the scoreboard than if you just go aggressive every single time.
Well, I was saying about the team that was playing with just 2 players. It is Arctic. Seeing them off in the distance there completely jogged my memory. And Akshay and Hazy both were pretty impressive when left to play just on their own and be able to get really cheeky kills in on other teams, even when they were at such a man disadvantage. So going up here against UCL, they are going to be downing Nano first with that headshot. And so it kind of just goes to prove my point straight away, John. This team, they can be formidable.
Yeah, representing the Strathclyde squad. The Strathclyde Strikers is their name in this tournament, going with the team tag Arctic, which is an interesting one there. But Strathclyde, they're going to be pretty proud of them. Moving up through the tables. They are currently not doing too well. They're sat around 8th, so they are middle of the pack. So within striking distance of that top 5, but really going to be tricky for them to try and make that way.
So look at this. It's interesting how UWL, instead of clinging to the perimeter, they've gone straight for the center of the circle. They're sort of like, okay, you come at us, we're happy to take you on, but we're going to get our stronghold and we're gonna hold on to it. And they're doing that before anybody else has the chance to. When you look at teams like the Addicts, who were so close to them previously, they're over on the other side and they're trying to kind of rush in now.
A little bit of a firefight coming in for the University of Kent against KEKW. 2nd and 3rd place, respectively. Very important if one of these teams loses a player. We'll see if they're able to land any shots, but the UMP at range, not really going to be able to do too much for them. Do KEKW turn around and take this fight? Probably not in this situation.
If they're going to play it smartly, that's absolutely going to be how they're feeling. At the very least, they'll want to give themselves some kind of advantageous positioning rather than just blindly taking it. Seeing Nano from the side of UCL falling there, kind of as I was saying, UCL, they fall early. They're kind of notorious for it at this point.
KEKW falling in line just a little bit close to the Strathclyde Strikers, and they will be spotted out as well. I don't know if they've noticed the pin on the nade is pulled. Through the window it goes. Will they spot it out, or is it going to land? It looks like it's going to bubble straight through. Not quite able to get the damage. Not just yet. UW are having a good time of it in the meantime, but they're going to be able to flush that one out on the flanks.
And this is where you're seeing these teams going to have to use the ability to communicate really well, using the third person peeking to be able to get that information, carrying it over to those their team members. And I mean, that's why we saw that nade pretty much land entirely where it had to be, even though it didn't deal in all the damage that was required. Just sharing that intel with your teammates can be huge when securing yourselves these kills.
These fields that are currently being vied for control over between Arctic, the Strathclyde Strikers, and KEKW are going to be very important for the next rotation. There's so much open ground around them. Whoever has the oversight is going to have a lot of power to control what's going on.
Yeah, KEKW being in this warehouse here where not only do they have the low ground, but they are going to have to leave at some point. They can't stay in there forever. That's going to make it really hard for them if they aren't able to win out these fights now, because all the other teams have to do is sort of wait a little bit longer. They have the high ground anyway, and they have that advantage onto them. But
up the stairs they go. UCL, they're going to lose one. Cable able just about to avoid the spray, and they will get it done nonetheless. As they continue to fight for this central location. The north and the west side of Pachinki being vied for by most of these really strong teams at the moment. The older Mops might just be able to sneak through the cracks here if they're able to take down the Addicts in the fight. And it looks like they were be able to get the first spray on down. Popcorn trying to swing out wide. Itty will be giving that information over, but they find the knock. And the Addicts now, they've managed to take down 2 of the Oldham Ops. Only one of their players is out, and that's the Oldham Ops eliminated. The Addicts come up trumps.
And it can happen so quickly like that, but it really brought back a point that you made earlier, John. That's when you're fighting in these fields, it's so open and you're at such a risk. And when you're running over to try and help heal up one of your teammates as well as trying to get on those shots and there's just no cover for you whatsoever, these are the things that happen. And this happened to Oldham Ops earlier on in the competition, and it was that consistency keeping them at the top of the leaderboard that I wanted to see more of, and it just looks like it's not going to be happening here on Air Angle.
They've got a UCL player in the church. Clade trying to hunker down, but I think he's been spotted. That's going to be an easy pickup for Sile. A brutal fragger for the UWL squad. We saw amazing things from Sile last week. See if he can repeat that as well. He'll be able to claim the cake as well.
Yeah, I remember the week before we put so much praise onto Saint. And then after Saint died, Sile just carried the entire thing. And we were like, all right, I guess we were looking at the wrong guy. Sorry. Like, okay, we know you're the best. It's okay.
Oh, dear. Next circle coming in. Going to shrink just to the north of Pachinki, keeping the majority of the town in play, though. On the northern side, Portsmouth look like they're taking a little bit of a harrying, but they'll have to try and push through nonetheless. In the centre, University of Kent seem to have the northern side.
I mean, yeah, we see Will actually pushing up a little bit. I'm wondering if a lot of that damage onto Portsmouth is coming from him, if he's, staying forward, trying to get in some shots, provide some intel to the rest of the team. It looks like he's returning a little bit back closer to everybody else. And of course, with all the other squads moving on in, you do kind of want to be staying together and not straying too far from one another. And here we go, we see Tal.
Oh dear. Kingstonian as well. They were eliminated on that northern fight with Portsmouth. And now
no,
Portsmouth have to cross a massive open ground, what I like to call Headshot Valley. Just to the north of Pachinki, a spray down coming out from Will. He's going to be able to get the knock onto one. The rest of the addicts make it safe towards the compound. They get the triple story, but Will has other ideas.
He's just looking out, ensuring he knows exactly where his potential prey is. And look at these angles that are being covered here by the University of Kent. They have so many. They're not all standing next to one another, but they're ensuring they have every single possible angle covered. He's ready with the nade. Question is, when's he going to throw it in, and is it going to get anybody he needs it to?
Ooh, didn't quite make it into the window that time around. The addicts do get a knock. I think that was onto Sleeper. They're gathering intel for Will. He has spotted the down player. They try and crawl to safety, but no doing there. Down to 3 for the addicts. In the meantime, we did see on the kill feed the Strathclyde strikers take heavy casualties. I don't even know if they're still in it. No, they are going to be going out as UWL are able to finish it off. And they claim themselves a cheeky little foothold on the western side.
Moving in ever further now. Still have Kent trying to hold on here, and they just have the addicts completely surrounded right now. And really, what can the addicts do? They're trying to get this high ground, but they know that they're being watched. They can't move out because they know they're going to have to take these close range fights with this professional player who's going to be so hard for them. Ben Usher is going to be taking damage though, and that's actually pretty bad here for University of Kent because Sleeper is as well. Toxic will be falling, but Will, so much responsibility has fallen on his shoulders, John.
He's spent all his chips, his teammates are down, but when the chips are down, seems like Will's fragging out, and it's now just Sapphire to contend with. Of course, remember that the addicts are only 3 players. We'll be able to confirm one of them now. Is he going to be able to win out this 1v1? He's spotted the cross, he's out in the open. Oh, that should be Kurtz, but he managed to survive for now. The jump out wider, Will doesn't even take a lick of damage. Looks like he's going to try and get Osiris up, but he spent 2 of his teammate chips there in that fight for the compound on the northern side, as 8 teams remain.
Yeah, it was probably a lot scrappier, a lot messier than University of Kent wanted out of that. Likely didn't expect the addicts to fight quite how they did.
Ooh,
well,
okay.
Maybe don't drive into a tree.
I don't think he had too much of a choice there. UWL were able to get the spray down. Had to try and get out of there, but BR, they lose one of their players. Sat down in 12th position at the start of this game. Not too sure they're going to be able to rise too much further as the vehicle gets plinked away at. A little bit of health left, but I don't think anyone's really going to be trying to push out to get that rescue there.
No, and it's looking like Saint isn't really taking all that much damage either, just no one paying much attention to him. And so that really just gives UWL some free reign to be dealing this damage in. Onto Johnny. But they also have another team, ECG, over on the other side. Looking like they're going to actually head over there. Maybe they think they're kind of easier targets. We've spoken about ECG not necessarily playing in the most orthodox of manners over the course of this tournament.
Seems like they've learned their lesson, though, as they are going to be sticking together for now. Now they're at the back of UWL. All 4 players of UWL still alive, and that is a force to be reckoned with. As Benji finds out all too brutally, will go down. I think Stent also got knocked in the fray. Not too sure how many ECG players are left alive. I think it might be only 1 or 2. Stent gets confirmed. I think it is 2 players left alive. Senior certainly up waiting in the wings of the blue circle. He's going to push them in. Remember, this is the 5th circle as well, so not a lot of damage to be spared for anyone. Just Senior alive for ECG.
And of course, UWL could just leave Senior at the mercy of the blue circle, but it's going to be even better for their points if they confirm that kill. But it does look like they're going to be moving on and just leaving him. I guess for them, it's not all that important, and it's probably better for them to be asserting a better position in this next circle, giving them more of a benefit over their next opponents than worrying about just, you know, one guy who's bleeding out in a building somewhere.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a priority situation here, but
yeah.
At the moment, it's KEKW, who have really got the strongest spot in the circle, but they have to be worried from their back. They have got Will there, Osiris as well from the University of Kent. So as long as they keep Overwatch on that, as long as they try and control where Will can go, they might just be in with luck. And if there's a team that can do it, probably KEKW is one of them. And I'll see what they're able to do. UWL, they're rotating far and fast, straight into the waiting arms of BR, however. Not too sure if they want to take the fight just yet. They blow up BUS, and it looks like Will is going to be starting to find out the fight onto BR. They try to go for the spray onto Osiris. Looks like they are going to be able to find one, but Will tucks away safely. The drop down from Syal will turn out for the better as BR do fall. 4 teams remain.
Atom getting up very up close and personal here, but he's going to be the one who is falling to Will. Osiris very close to his flank. He's not going to be leaving him too far. He will be there to heal him up when he can, but he's still going to deal with the rest of UWL. Saint is going to be the next to be shot, Cable falling as well, and this could be pretty bad here for UWL as they really have to face the onslaught from their opponents.
Will just positioning as best he can, but there's threats on all sides. Cable gets confirmed. Hazard tries to pop up over the ridgeline. I think he's been spotted out. The reload comes in from Will. He looks to go out wide, wants to go for the shots with the MK, and he is going to be able to do it. Will be able to heal up as well. A beautiful clearance on the back there. KEKW now only on one front. UWL have got that outpost over to the eastern side as well as they res up.
KEKW still, of course, have the man advantage. That's going to be huge when you have such a small play zone as this. Will still looking to see what he can get. He's been using that loot box as a kind of barricade, a shield, if you will. But at some point, he's going to have to peek. Looking over this ridge, there's only so much that you can gather, so much intel, so much lines of sight. And he knows that there are so many players around him.
He's playing the terrain so well. He's moved into a new divot that he has complete control of, and he can push up on the side of KEKW. He should be able to have some decent angles. And remember, as soon as KEKW start taking a fight, UWL can chime in. And not only that, but you've got ECG waiting in the wings to try and throw spanners in the works as best they can. So taking the fight with Will might prove disastrous, but on the flip side, Will can wait for these fights to pop off, but he does have to push.
Well, it's something we've seen before where you sort of see them acting as a thorn in the side of the other teams who are all way more focused on one another. So this really could be almost an ideal situation here for Will. If he can encourage those teams, kind of egg them on to start turning on one another, then he can shoot from the sidelines and know that the other teams aren't going to turn their main focus onto him.
This situation is disastrous for Older Mox, actually. These are the top 3 teams that are going to be able to extend their lead away from them. And they went out pretty early. Will going in for the push as they go up, and that is him eliminated. Now 2 teams remain. The 2 top teams in the tournament. UWL taking on KEKW. The M249 is there. They look to try and spray it down, but at the moment, UWL playing with 2 against the 3 from KEKW.
Still no more kills confirmed, and the blue zone is moving further and further in. Just waiting to see who is going to make that first move. Saint, he's dancing about. He doesn't want to make himself an easy target. And Syal, behind the smoke, just healing himself up a little bit. Maybe they'll be able to add some pressure onto KEKW.
Just getting the reloads in, the M4. Not quite landing the spray as Cheerslove has rotated over the hillside. Waiting to try and see that side swipe come in. They have got the off angle. And that is in the circle as well. The nades can start to come through as well. They're harassing from all sides. They need to close down those angles. Nice use of smoke there to give themselves that opportunity to move on forwards. But it looks like the final firefight might just be able to ensue with the road at their back. UWL trying to go out wide, but Saint gets spotted. Cheerslove there is in, but he goes for the spray. The first shots are through, but no, Saint is able to finish it down. No way that they're going to be able to get there. Easy shots indeed. And they're trying to get the refrag, but no, he's thirsting onto the down target, trying to confirm those kill points as Syal takes care of the rest. Atomical gets sent back behind cover, and now we're in a 2 versus 2. As they start to push on through, Atomical gets the first knock. The spray down from Syal, not quite able to finish it down. Half HP, Saint looking to get rezzed.
Yeah, desperately trying to help heal him up here, reviving his teammate. But KEKW are going to know that that's what's going on. Instead, they're just trying to confirm a better positioning to give themselves the advantage. But it looks like Firecracker is going to be going in to get aggressive. The question is he going to be able to win out the gunfight, John?
Oh.
The answer is no.
Is able to get the micro Uzi onto one. Saint gets the heal off. The M249 is there, and it's KEKW to take it home against UWL. Both teams finishing strong, and they will be able to get plenty of points on the board. Disaster for Oldermops.
Disaster for Oldermops, indeed. That's gonna give them so much higher a hill to climb when it comes to trying to scavenge those points back. When you have the last two teams in a round be the top two, you know that things aren't looking great.
Yeah, it's not going to be too strong there, with Oldermops going out so early as well. I'm not sure exactly how many points they were able to get in that last game, but it really wasn't that many. It's going to be very difficult, as we say, for them to climb back up, but we are going to head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have all the standings, all the updated points. Of course, we just need to double check everything, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more of the Campus Championship. Hello and welcome back to the Campus Clamping.
You said that last
the
time.
Campus Championship. There we go. The PUBG Mobile Campus Championship from NSE, of course. My name is John Allen. With me is Gio. A close fought spot at the top there at the end of the last game for some of our top competitors so far.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to have made it a lot harder for those other teams looking to stay in that top 5, because of course when you have the top 2 teams remaining at the end fighting out for those all important chicken dinner points, it's going to make it so much harder for you to catch up with them.
Yeah, and it's basically guaranteed now at this stage that the University of West London will be taking that cool £1,000 at the top and the spot in the PMCO. Of course, 361 points, plays 239. Over 3 games, that gap is nigh on insurmountable.
It's certainly, well, I was going to say it's certainly going to be a challenge, but as you say, John, it's basically impossible. So it certainly would be a challenge. So pretty much the fight is going to be for second place here. So it's going to be PUBG Mobile KW who really want to be watching their backs because, of course, they get the next largest amount of money. And they don't get that spot in PMCO full split that the first place team do get, which is pretty huge. But, you know, being able to say you came second, being able to win the second place prize, still pretty huge. It's still something that you want to be doing. And so, of course, if they are clinging onto that second place with a lot of might, as it seems they are doing, it's going to make it so much harder for these teams like University of Kent and Oldham Ops, even Kingstonian, to kind of fight for that.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky. The second place obviously taking home 750 and then drops by 150 each time until you get down to 5th place, at which point it's level at £300 until 8th place. So breaking out of that top into the top 4 is where the money starts to add up pretty significantly. So if Oldham Ops, for instance, can jump 2 spots, that's worth £300 to them.
And that's pretty huge. And of course, you just don't want to be at risk of slipping down from there. And I don't know. I said at the beginning, John, Oldham Ops, they're a team who they can really frag when they want to, and they can do really well when they get far enough into the round. But they also have a tendency to just, it'll look like everything is peachy, everything's going great for them, and then suddenly they'll be wiped off the face of the map. And that is what we saw in Erangel. And so as we move into Miramar, that's something that we need to be really looking out for, because it's at the point in the competition now where you can't just say, oh, well, next week it'll be better. No, next week it won't be better. So there isn't a next week. So
You gotta live in the moment, Gio.
Yeah,
You gotta live for the now.
Yeah, yo and low, that's how... That is what Oldham Ops need to be doing.
Oh, that's what your tattoo means. Okay. Miramar is going to be next on up, as you saw on your screens just now. No, I don't either, actually. No. Been thinking about getting one, but either way, we are going to be moving over to Miramar next. A lot more open, a lot more rotation based. We'll see what these teams are able to bring out. Of course, you know, by the book, the UWL squad should be able to just keep on trucking to see if anyone else is going to be able to try and even think about catching up.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it could be an entirely different squad. It would not be the first time in PUBG Mobile that we have seen a certain set of teams make it to the top 5 and make it to the last few remaining, and then an entirely different set of teams on the next map. And we kind of touched on it at the beginning, but because all these maps are very different, the kind of playstyle that favors each one is also different. And so that means the different skills that can be brought by the different teams can actually come to play. So whereas a team may not have had a great time on Erangel, they may be better suited to Miramar.
A little bit more, as I said, rotation based and making sure you get those vehicles on early could be pretty strong, but a nice plane for pretty much everyone here. Directly southeast to northwest. Maybe Campo Militar a bit difficult, but everyone else should be pretty fine. Some kind planes today, Gio.
Yeah, I really like this this trajectory that we have here. You can pretty much go either side of it, and chances are you're going to have a relatively easy time rotating into wherever the circle will be. I mean, I say relatively easy time. Obviously, that is conditional based on how your neighbors are going to be playing. But in terms of the geography, could really be anywhere. It also makes it so much harder to predict, because one of the best things about PUBG is being able to make some wild guess as to where the circle's going to be and getting it dead right. But when it's something as straight down the middle as this, it just makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, and of course, rotating early on Miramar, very, very important. Such a big map to be playing with. Getting on the road early, having those vehicles at your disposal is pretty much the name of the game for the first 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, the sizes of the compounds on Miramar really vary. And so you get, oh, it's straight central. It's just, there's no water. That's so depressing.
Oh dear.
So many roads, so much, as you say, vehicle play is going to be huge.
A little bit less important potentially on this circle. If the only team that has to really move at the moment is Snake out in that northwestern spot, and everybody else moving around. Young is very, very split. ECG as well. They're going back to their tried and tested Giga split. Diddy G up in the northern side. Over in the east near Impala, there's a little bit of a scrap, but only 2 teams landing in Los Leones. By the looks of things, a little bit busier further up to the north.
Well, I mean, you've also got KEGW right down in the southeastern corner, and that's going to give them, I think very importantly early on, it's going to give them kind of untouched ability to loot, to take their time, to ensure that they have the weapons and the gear that they want without having to worry about being aggressed upon, which is something that you can have when you land in very closely to everybody else. I mean, when we look at sort of Hacienda kind of area, there are so many teams around there, and that's something that they're all going to have to be very, very concerned about, especially as the teams like UCL and like Young, who haven't necessarily been known for being the most prolific in gunfights.
Couple of early shots being popped off. 60 players still alive, so no teams going down fully just yet, but Senior might come a cropper. Some long-range shots coming out from Saint as he lands it finally. We'll be able to get the knock. Don't think there's anyone else from ECG too close to him at all. Cable goes out, tries to hit the spray, but isn't going to be able to successfully do so. Not just yet anyway. That will come with time. It looks like UWL already off to a rip-roaring start.
That's pretty good shots actually there, especially when you consider the fact that it's not necessarily the ideal scope for playing at such a long range. So being able to get that early pick-off is pretty important there. But it's UWL.
Double AKMs? Is that double AKMs? I think it might be on the back of Saint.
It looks like it.
No.
He's a fan.
Potentially. All right.
Well, we know he has at least one. UCL, again, just so much early kind of looting. This was a team who we saw quite a bit of on Erangel, and they just weren't able to hold their own when it came down to it. So that's what they're going to be looking to do. And of course, that's kind of goes without saying, right? It's like this team didn't last long on the last map, therefore they want to on this map. You know, it's fairly obvious, but if they can get some early shots, especially as they have a member of Young so nearby. I said before, Young are not the best team at taking fights, so that could be some early points that UCL could get for themselves.
I mean, with a total of 3 kills over the course of the tournament, I think you're right in the Young boys not being really too strong.
Yeah, no, they haven't been the most impressive, to put it, you know, quite like euphemistically, I suppose.
I would say they have been the least impressive, given that they are 16th.
I mean, one could say that.
And I am that one.
Yeah.
I'm saying that.
Yeah, you can be that one.
I'm always that one.
I know, John. It feels so vast and empty. It's just so quiet. It makes me uncomfortable almost. Just kind of like you see ghosts creeping up the side of these sort of hills, and all you can hear is his footsteps, and it's like, oh, it's sort of unnerving. Shoot someone, please. The sound of gunfire brings me comfort when watching video games.
I don't know what that says about you, but sure, I'll go with that.
It says that I play a lot of video games.
Yeah, probably. I'll go with that one as well. La Cobreria currently being vied for by Snake and Young Boys over in the northwest. Puerto Paraíso being evacuated currently by KEGW. They're in the vehicles anyway. They'll be seeing where they want to go. Not too many people landed in Picardo. It was just UWL, and we saw that they were able to get some pretty decent early shots off there. Over in Los Leones, Kingstonian have their foothold. They will be playing pretty much solo in that area of the map.
That's going to be pretty huge. Los Leones is a pretty big area of the map, so they have all of that to their own disposal. It could be that KEKW do kind of creep up on them, but it actually looks like they're going to be heading up northwards towards Impala instead. So yeah, actually King's Union can find that they're pretty safe for now. Also, I want to bring up a really important point, and that is, have you been practicing your accent to be able to read the place names on here? Because I'm impressed.
You know, I lived in Spain for 4 months, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Anyway.
But yeah, you weren't there speaking Spanish or studying Spanish.
Well, I was living with Spanish people.
I think you were probably living a little bit more of a hedonistic lifestyle than that.
Well, let's not get into that. Let's talk about two teams currently occupying San Martin, the Addicts and UCL. A little bit closer quarters than perhaps any of the other teams moving in for now, so maybe coming to loggerheads, but it is just such a big area. All of these big towns on Miramar can house comfortably 3 teams, and if you're just playing with one other in the area, you can just sort of agree to not go anywhere near each other and then have the best of it by controlling one side of it on each of their plates.
Well, so okay, well, King's Union having an unfortunate loss very early on there, but UCL looking like they're going to be going for some early shots here onto the Addicts. Now, don't forget, the Addicts were a team that were able to provide kind of some pushback onto UWL. Of course, they didn't win everything entirely out, but being able to provide that kind of pressure onto solid teams does give us some reason to believe that in this matchup with UCL, yeah, maybe they'll come out on top.
The question is, will UCL walk into this flank, because they have got the off angle exposed to the north. You can see one of the players there from the Addicts has taken up location there. If they move along the road, they might just be able to get away with it, because of course there'll be a lot of buildings to give them cover. The question is, do they want to move? Do they want to get away from this?
Well, so far they're not being watched. Oh, I was going to say, by that other player, keeps changing his direction, having a look around, probably just checking for his own team's flank rather than focusing too hard on UCL. But now the direction started looking down into them a bit more, looking like the Addicts maybe trying to close in on UCL now that they are more aware of them being here. Toxic is up on the high ground, so he could get some really key angles onto UCL should he receive the right information from his teammates.
Ooh. Yeah, I think that might have just been the right information. UCL, they're moving around on the low ground. Such vantage points for the Addicts. Popcorn now pushing out aggressively. Ghost looking to try and post up a little bit higher up. Toxic has complete overwatch, but Nano seems to have gotten the read on that. They know exactly what's going on there. Some info from the down player as well. They're baiting him. They're trying to make sure that UCL will walk towards them as UFO falls down. Now the push has come in, a close range fight to be fought, and around the corner Ghost is holding just there, but no, he's not going to peek, not just yet, and into the building now. The Addicts will find themselves a little bit of a foothold. He's trying to push out wide. They're holding the angles as they're waiting for Spherix to come on through. As they like the push, but it doesn't seem like they're fully committing just yet. Clade, they can hear all of these footsteps around as Nano tries to get out wide. UFO has gone fully down in the meantime. And they are just waiting with bated breath to try and get this fight. Ghost trying to spot out these pushes around the corner. Nano watching for those runouts, but they've second-guessed themselves. They will spot this one out. Clade caught healing. And he will be going down. Ghost trying to get the better of him, and the flank is dealt with as well. Now it's just Ghost. One is down. The spray is there. Not quite able to finish it off just yet, as he is going to line him up, knock him down. Going low, though, half HP as the spray comes out, and it's UCL to go down early to the Addicts.
UCL were completely taken by surprise there. Of course, the Addicts knew what they were trying to do. They knew they were trying to set up. In the meantime, they went and got hold of the high ground. They kind of all got together in those upper stories. And while UCL weren't committing to making any kind of an aggressive push, they were waiting for Nano to take a position. That gave the Addicts the perfect opportunity to just run out, be aggressive at a UCL weren't expecting, and it brought the entire team down.
You fancy peek in UWL with a K9? Don't think so, mate.
No thanks.
He's going to get knocked down. KEKW will be able to get that one up, but it looks like UWL want the fight. They saw the KEKW tags on that kill feed. and they are out for blood. Cable riding strong with his teammate as Saint pops out as well. Cheerslove trying to play it a little bit sneaky, looking to try and ambush them, but Saint knows exactly what's up. No damage given on over, and they mount up yet again. They want the rest of them as well.
Don't forget, these were the last two standing teams of the last map. And this is what we were talking about earlier when we say that sometimes those teams that end up at the end, they're the ones who could go down earliest. And KEKW were given a really hard time by UWL just now because of that aggressive push in.
That was so aggressive from UWL as well. Really, really strong stuff. A statement to be made. And 4 players in the car for University of Kent. This is their chance, remember. Without KEKW in the running anymore, them and Oldham Ops will be looking to leapfrog, try, and get their extra 150 quid under their belt.
And look, once again, UWL decided they want to center themselves right in the middle of that circle, going straight in, not worrying about clinging onto the perimeter. But when we look at the perimeter, we have teams like Snakes, like University of Stirling, and UWL with this central positioning. It gives them great line of sight up onto the University of Kent. They're all jumping in that vehicle just now. But it wouldn't surprise me if they do decide to position themselves and get Will set up to try and get some of those early shots. It looks like UWL, they're just going to go chase their prey.
All right, this is an aggressive UWL, something we haven't seen before.
I like
Instead
it.
of relying on those basics, they are going back to the bullet. And they will be trying to make the enemies bite them plenty frequently. Osiris gets run up on as Atom is rolling up, looks for the rundown. He's going to be able to get it. And there we go. They're playing bumper cars, and Saint pushes up and goes down to Will, and he's able to turn it on. Will holding his own against 2 players pushing from UWL. Syal now trying to roll on through, and it gets blown up. He will fall as well, and Atom now last remaining for UWL. Will confirm onto Osiris, but he gets sprayed down, and to the shots from Will, they will fall. Aggression coming back to bite them. That's what we say, even if you're consistent as anything. You take the wrong fights, you could come a cropper.
It really was the gamble. They were hoping that the University of Kent hadn't had enough time to position themselves in the ideal way that they were planning to so they could take that fight. But what they perhaps weren't expecting was Will to be perfectly equipped to be taking on that fight. He had the AK and he had the micro Uzi. He could take those close range fights and then shoot off anyone else who was slightly further away. It just made it so much easier for University of Kent to deal with it. And as I say, it was a gamble. It was a gamble that didn't pay off.
San Martin seems to be the closing field of play here, just out to the west side of the circle. Taking control of it now could prove tricky if they have to leave it, but if the circle shifts that way, teams like the Addicts could be in with a lot of luck, as well as the Oldham Ops and KEKW, who are very, very close to each other.
Yeah, everyone really starting to move in. As you say, so many of those teams are practically on top of one another. But here we go. Here's KEKW and Ops. Ops obviously have the man advantage, but we've seen what can happen to them in a very quick amount of time in certain aggressive fights. They can fall down very, very swiftly. Atomical is just there. This could be super dangerous here.
Oh, he's going to be able to get the one. They catch him unawares. Ali tries to jump on up. They now know that they are in the danger zone. The warehouse is not safe. It is not clear. Dangerous peek there. Will come a cropper, as I like to say. Firecracker holding the top as well. Doesn't have a nade by the looks of it. Otherwise, he might have wanted to throw it in. Oh, there it comes. Okay, he's going to cook it. Trying to look for that damage. Will go through. Is it going to be long enough? The nade not quite gone down yet. It won't find the kill nor the knock. It's the Oldham Ops still trying to hide around these corners.
KEKW just have this great positioning here, and they basically just have to wait for all the mobs to, or try and coax them out of these small enclaves, especially with these nades. It's going to make it so hard for them to get out alive. At the very least, it can hold them back.
Nice nade coming out from Atomical. Cooked it a little bit better that time around. Nado is quite low. Don't know if they know that he's there on the flank. Another nade being sent in, and the push comes out from Atomical. He's going to look to try and spray them down. No one is there. They have moved to the outside. Catches one on the cross. Only a couple of bullets sent in, though, as they hold both of these doorways. Atomical trying to hunker down, but instead he looks to spin out wide. And they are going towards the outside now, as he will go down. The micro Uzi, strong in close quarters. Will confirm it as well. Now it's just Firecracker left for the KEKW squad.
Firecracker is the player who has been able to clutch things out on his own in the past, so you don't want to write him off too quickly. But the question is whether Ops are going to continue with this fight. Now, you'd think it's a 3 versus 1. They probably will. They feel like they have the advantage, but they're also going to be very aware at how aggressive this player can be, how good he can be in these gunfights, and how much better positioning he has. And Ops really only have so much they can do in that situation. Maybe they're going to try and come in through various different angles, looking like they're just going to be reviving it by here, ensuring that they're all healed up. And actually, it says a lot about Firecracker, the fact that Ops have to go through all of this prep before they can come in on a 3 versus 1 onto him.
NATO seeking out the other angles. They think he's up top there, but little do they know. Oh, he's giving the game away now. He's behind the other boxes, and now they have him pinned. The windows around his back might prove dangerous. The skylights around is really tricky to deal with. You can just lob nades in there, and you will get displaced, or you'll go down for it. There comes the Molotov as well. They're zoning it away. It's going to be very tricky to try and escape for this one for Firecracker.
Well, it cuts off that potential rotation, but actually, why would Firecracker want to move? Behind these crates, he's in the perfect positioning. He has great line of sight onto these entranceways. It just makes it actually a little bit of a waste of utility, I think, from Ops.
We'll see if they're able to displace him any further. Trying to hold it down. In the meantime, the rest of the teams are starting to push on in through to the circle. Johnny not doing too well. Johnny and friends becoming a little bit too friendly with death, unfortunately. The young boys getting eliminated by the blue zone as well. Snake on the northeast challenging out Will. Don't think you want to be doing that. Certainly not on this situation. A beautiful spray as well onto Mass, and only, I think, one player in the back for Snake, as the rest of them are taking it down. There goes Firecracker with the kill feed. That is KEKW eliminated, and that is a beautiful turn up for Oldham Ops, of course. Both of the teams ahead of them in the scoreboards have been eliminated now.
How fates change, how the turntables. And now Snake's just going to be continuing to fall here to University of Kent. It's just kind of easy cleanup almost. And that's some easy points that they will be getting. And these are, of course, Ops and University of Kent, the two teams of that top 4 who didn't necessarily slurp up all those points from the last round and are now having their opportunity to do so. Will's using the smokes here to make his rotation, his route a little bit easier, revive one of his teammates. But there's only so long that smoke is going to last, and they have enemies nearby.
He should be able to get up, and Will just keeping his teammates alive. Snake with 2 players, 1 down, so it is just the Orm, actually, that did get picked up. Going for the shot on the Will, not going to be able to hit it this time. Goes for a second, looks out wide, tries to find it, but no, yet again, just sailing wide. Trying to go for another as well. Doesn't seem to be too lucky, but still not quite finding the mark, as Will is going to get that confirmation onto the teammate, Catfinks, I believe it was. And everyone else now vying for those spots.
And this is going to be interesting, having Addicts go up against Oldham Ops. Obviously, Ops just did pretty well before, but Itty going to be going down to that nade there. So that kind of sucks there for them. They need to push through the Addicts if they are to make it into the next phase of the competition. And Toxic, he's already proved himself. He's proved how well he can play from these upper stories of these compounds, how he can hold onto those angles using the intel from his teammates. Ops need to be careful.
You've got Spherix as well, moving around, getting that info, getting those off angles as well. He's holding what looks to be a flashbang there, maybe just trying to spook him out, see what he can get done, but it sends it wide, takes a bit of damage. They spot him out, they're looking out the windows as Toxic tries to get the bait on. I don't know if they're looking the right way as he goes for the run out, but no, he gets knocked in response. Beautiful cover there coming out from early. Spherix now in a 1 versus 3. Might just look to sail away. The blue zone is coming through, but no. You got to be careful. Gets 1, goes for the confirm, will be able to get it. Oh, brutal for them, but the Ops live to fight another day, but with only 1 player up, they have to move fast.
Didn't quite go how Ops would have liked, but we knew that it was going to be an aggressive, a scrappy fight nonetheless.
All
Oh, University of Stirling looking like they're going to be getting things onto Strathclyde here. BitPro's going to be falling.
Yeah, that's the University of Strathclyde eliminated from this round. The Stirling squad will stand up strong, and they will get that loot on board as well. 3 players remain on the eastern side for them.
You know, just chilling out in a bush. I mean, it's great for cover, but the blue zone is right there. You're going to have to move at some point. You're going to have to take these fights at some point.
The question is, will University of Stirling spot them out? For the moment, they seem to have spotted out ECG. Benji getting sprayed on just a little bit. Takes a little bit of damage. Stent as well runs for cover. Managed to find himself a little bit of a shack to work with. 8 teams now remain as the northeastern side seems relatively clear.
Potentially easier kills is what they're thinking with ECG. This kind of elusive squad that play things in their own hands and not necessarily known for being able to clutch out those gunfights. And of course, you want to rack up as many kills as you can before you have to face the squads like the University of Kent. Speaking of, going to be bringing down Worse Than Me from Young. Spoke about Young, not necessarily been the most impressive squad. And his Assaulter just looking to get in that damage, get in those kills, spraying in the bullets through the smoke clouds, but so far not going to be able to get anything.
Nice control through the smoke for ECG. They're able to get that cross on board. The hilltop can be strong, but it can also be very difficult. Remember, if the circle moves away from them, they have to push away, and that's exactly what's happened. They have to move down an open hill face now, Gio.
Yeah, that's going to be not the ideal positioning. There's your boys, Kingsteonian. Not going to be receiving any of those pre-fire bullets shot out by Will. And this is kind of that, you kind of mentioned it, but that time where you have to really be prioritizing and deciding which of the neighboring squads you're going to be going for. Who's going to work out better in your favor? If you go for squad A, is squad B likely to kill you? How are you going to get those points? Well, Will's going to be falling. He was trying to strafe. It didn't work.
University of Stirling, they've had plenty of long-range practice from this hillside now, and Will figure out just how devastating that can be. Will go down. They need to try and get that res on. Of course, the linchpin of that team is Will, trying to move on through. University of Kent, they are still standing. Kingstonian, though, might just be their saving grace, suppressing University of Stirling from that hillside.
Still just waiting for more of those kills to come out. Just trying to get this positioning, as you say. University of Stirling, they have pretty good positioning here, but they are going to be moving down the hillside, and they're going to be shooting on into the University of Kent as well, but they do have the cover of that smoke for now.
ECG, they go 1-for-1 on the trade as the confirmation comes through. A ghillie suit actually in play for Kingsteonian, as ECG have their sole representative now remaining on the south side. A drop puts itself in the middle to give themselves a little bit more cover. I think they might have spotted out Benji, but no, not quite able to find it just yet.
Shots onto Ben Usher and Will. They've got to try and run across the road. It leaves you so vulnerable, as another one of those key pillars of PUBG is the roads are open and people will be watching them. And that makes it so hard for them. They can't help each other out here. We actually see TA9 moving on up, trying to capitalize on those fallen teammates, but he is going to be watched from those up on the hillside as well.
That's a really strong ghillie suit position there for TA as well. They're going to have a lot of strength moving on forwards. He's going to stim up. We'll be able to get back to full health. Very possible that he can just sort of snake his way through. Such a good set of camouflage as Hazard goes down early on to the AUG that he obviously managed to get alongside with that ghillie suit. A very nice crate coming in for Kingsteonian.
Yeah, he's certainly done well off of it. 7 members still alive on the board. And the play zone getting ever smaller. Looking like it's going to be centered over the road. And actually this hillside that has been used so well so far isn't going to be available for those teams. This is where things are going to start getting messy.
ECG eliminated now. 3 players alive for University of Stirling, but they have some difficult pushes to make. University of Kent are across the way. Will is still alive and with the backup of one of his teammates. Kingsteonian playing with the Lone Ranger as Will makes the push up the hillside. Not too sure if they found it just yet, but he's trying to control it. He's not going to be able to get away from it. TA doesn't commit to the shots. He will not be able to get the knock. That could have been it. There's Assaulter trying to take the fight as well.
None of these teams want to be the first to move out into this open area, but Wang being caught out in it anyway is going to be going down. That leaves Assaulter on his own from that squad, but he's going to be falling as well to Will. And that makes things a little bit easier here. TA's running around, and Will has this perfect positioning here behind the loot crate. He has the cover that he needs.
He might just be pushed off it by the zone in a minute, but his teammate goes down. It's down to a 1v1. Kingsteonian versus University of Kent. Will spots him out on the move as TA has the AUG. Potentially a little bit of an advantage here in this situation. Nade being cooked, looking for the long range. Up high it goes. Will it be able to find its way behind the rock? Get any damage? No. No, it won't. Does he have any more nades at his disposal? Goes out wide. TA looks for the trade. The damage in. Will goes for the spray again, but he's going to be forced out into the open. TA takes a lot of damage. Tries to go out wide, but Will has to reload. Has the rock now at his back as he gets the bullets through. Oh dear. I think he might have just been able to find a lick of damage. This nade is a lot easier than the last one. The tree will not protect you here. TA9. Oh, you have to push out wide. You have to do it now. Not going to go down, but the spray is there. He's looking to try and cover the edges. Will trying to bait out the shot from TA, but I think he's just trying to heal. I think he's just trying to go for it. Oh, look at this. 11 kills already. A Will once more. TA peeks out wide, goes for the spray as he's baited out the peak. He looks to try and get the reload as well. This seems to be the tactic here, but he's just playing footsie at the moment. They need to go whole hog, I'm afraid. TA just taking leg shots after leg shots. There it goes. The micro Uzi and Kingsteonian able to close it down. The Lone Ranger from down the hill will be able to get the job done. And that is the chicken dinner for Kingsteonian.
Perfect example of one of those top 4 teams being able to claw their way up a little bit more with those points. That's going to really solidify where Kingsteonian is. Actually, excuse me, I think they might be in 5th. So the question is going to be whether they've had the opportunity now to overtake Oldham Ops. I don't remember the exact points of either of the 2 teams, but this is the kind of situation that we're looking for those teams to be able to grab onto those points, pull themselves upwards, closer and closer to those larger cash prizes.
Yeah, Kingsteonian at the start was sat on 202, Oldham Ops were 209. I think that might just have done it to be able to get them on forwards. But we'll have to wait until after the break to get confirmation on that. When we come back, we'll have the standings and we'll have more PUBG Mobile Campus Championship for you then. Do not go anywhere.
Stay alive and be the one. PUBG Mobile. Play free now.
Welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Campus Championship. My name is John. I'm with Gio. Quarantine haircuts are still in effect. Sorry, isolation. I think it's isolation haircuts is the official term.
In my case, it's wrong side. In my case, no, I was the right side. It's quarantine roots. It's pretty bad.
Okay, yeah, isolation roots. I think. Is
not
what they're called.
Yeah, whatever. It's still not great.
No, my hair is remaining unkempt and unruly as ever, but. The teams as well, they are some unkempt and unruly bunch as well. They are trying to fight for those top spots. University of Kent vying pretty heavily with the PUBG Mobile KEKW crew.
Yeah, PUBG Mobile KEKW have actually slipped down into third place. They began the day in second. And of course, Kingsunion, they haven't been able to take over Oldham Ops. They are sitting just 7 points behind them. But after a really solid win in Miramar, which was pretty exhilarating to watch, I'm sure you'll agree with me, John, they're going to be lighting a fire beneath them, and Oldham Ops need to be concerned.
Yeah, definitely. There's two fights, really, in my mind here. University of Kent and KEKW, and then Oldham Ops and Kingstonian. Only 2 maps remain, so it would take a really hard swing to move Oldham Ops up or to bump KEKW down, or for any of the other teams in that sort of position. The Addicts as well, they are in with a chance of jumping up to that 5th spot, but doing so, not really an advantage when it comes to getting a little bit more money. I think up until the 5th spot, it's flat earnings of £300 for them. So yeah, jumping up that spot, not going to do too much. If they can leapfrog both Kingstonian and Oldham Ops, they will earn themselves 450 total, profiting 150 off that jump.
I think it will be a little bit hard for them. They're about 40 points behind the team above them, and when you have a look at their kill points and their place points, that's quite a significant portion of what they've currently earned. So they'd either have to win the next 2 and no one above them get any points and things like that. So I think in theory, they could do it, but the likelihood of them being able to jump into 5th place probably is pretty low. So, I mean, the only thing we can really hope for them right now is to play as foil, and they have kind of been doing that. They've been putting pressure on these top teams, and that could be something that some of these other teams who are at the top but not in that top spot will really be kind of trying to rely on a bit.
We are going to be moving into match number 3. As you can see, Sandhawk there on your screens. A little bit more hellful leather, a little bit more aggressive. Maybe we're going to see UWL with a repeat performance of what we saw in the last game. They were a little bit more bloodthirsty, a little bit more gun-ho. And we'll see if they're able to repeat that, or if they're going to repeat that, rather, given the fact that they have pretty much confirmed themselves with 124 points in the lead. I think it is, at this point, not quite mathematically impossible. There are 60 kills in the lobby total for them to get each game, which means 120 total there, and then 2 chicken dinners, 40. So technically they could get 160 points total, but that would require UWL to go out every single time. And then, yeah, it really isn't give you much leeway there.
TLDW is chances are they're going to be staying in the lead, which means they are a little bit more reckless about their playstyle, which is great to watch because they know that they can ruin someone else's day if they actually win those fights out, and their day's still going to be fine. Like, they're still pretty much most likely going to be competing in the PMCO full split, which is huge. They might as well have some fun with it.
Absolutely. But we are going to be heading over to Sandhawk, a westerly plane, to kick things off. But again, it's Sandhawk. Pretty much everywhere is available.
I was explaining this to Trid when I was casting with him, but one time when I was casting PUBG, the circle ended up narrowing on that triple point of the river. And it was the best game ever because that's just the most chaotic. It's really like the worst circle that any player could want. And every day that I've been casting this, I've been hoping that I'll get something like that again.
Truly sadistic outlook there from Gio, but we are going to be going over to boot camp to kick things off. It's UWL. They do want to go aggressive. They're going hot drops this time around. HWU are going to be their competitors. No kills just yet. By their squad. They are going to try and get some loot on board. Sile with the K9 in close range. Saint has that M4 on board as well. I think Saint's on the hunt, though. He's spotted out Knight. Oh, he's going to go for the spray, get a lot of damage. Might try and hop out the window, but no. He doubles back, goes a little bit more safe. Doesn't want to chase the rabbit and end up running around the track.
Yeah, they're really just trying to chase down Harriet Watt here. And again, we've said Harriet Watt not necessarily one of those top teams. So they're going to be feeling the pressure. And there's Uzi falling down pretty early. And Syle's just going to be looting his body, taking it all for himself. And Harriet Watt did not stand a chance.
Certainly not. A silencer on the auto shotty there. Maybe a little bit redundant, but he's got it nonetheless, and it works out pretty well. It looks like as well we've got older mobs starting to come on through, getting a kill early on in their fight with University of Kent for the second spot on the leaderboard.
Yeah, Oldham Ops just so... I feel like it's such a coin toss with them at this point. University of Kent, they have been consistent and they have been... they've just been impressive with the way that they stage their fights, the way that they prep them, and they kind of toy with the opposing team. But now, of course, we do see that circle. John, the dream is alive. You see what's in the center of that circle? That's right, the triple point in the river. So, you know, you never know. And a lot of these teams are over on the east side of the main island right now. So they're going to all have to be squeezing in through these roads or across these fields and really risking being in each other's line of sight to make those rotations into the play zone.
What are the three states of Sanhok then, Gio?
I have no idea.
Well, if they're all going to exist at the triple point, then we've got to have a look at it.
We're going to be. Well, I mean, yeah, obviously liquid, gas, and solid, because that's how physics works.
That is true. There is liquid there. There's the river. You got the solid land. Gas, maybe the
gas is when we gas up the players when they get good shots.
That's true. Or it could be the expanding gas that causes propulsion of bullets. I like that.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'm happy for any physics to get in. That's the one thing that while you're doing all your mental maths to calculate points and whatnot, that's what will make me feel smart is actually being able to quote some physics.
We won't talk about the fact that I brought it up instead, but that's fine.
No,
you can
I
take that.
was literally thinking that as I said it.
You could take the W. But looking on the eastern side of the circle, there's a little bit chock-a-block. Looks like Arctic for the Strathclyde Strikers. That's the team tag in game. Are going to be down to 3 players, it seems. Not willing to put forward that fourth. Maybe a little bit of connection issue. Never know quite what's going on. But nonetheless, they'll be playing with 3.
Yeah, Akshay has disappeared, and he's actually been one of their pretty good players throughout the, can we say season, tournament, competition, whatever it is. So not having him may be a little bit of a problem for them, but Hazy's going to be getting on a nice shot to one of the players of Snakes. Again, he's another one of their players who was able to do pretty well and stand up for himself in those weeks where they were playing at a reduced roster.
You know, for Snakes, their heads are remarkably exposed here, and it seems like Hassie is just going to be plinking away at them, landing the shots as well. He has a suppressor on that K9, which means that they're really going to have less of an idea where they're coming from, so it can be pretty tricky to find cover. And 2 of them going down, that's going to be a nice little turn up for Arctic, for the Strathclyde Strikers. They've already got 1 kill on board, and with 2 timers ticking away on the health bars, they might be looking at a few more to come.
Snakes, they've also interestingly pretty much been playing this kind of style where they really stay on the circumference of the circle and don't do much to move in. And at this point, the teams are going to know that. So they know that they can try and shoot them down, and they're not really going to do all that much to move on forward. But right now, seeing some of these other teams, ECG having a little bit of an issue, Senior's going to be going down pretty early as Krollcool gets that shot.
They confirm it as well. The shots from the AKM landing pretty decently here. ECG, they can try and disengage here, but they have to move past Quarry. This is a notoriously difficult spot on the map for Sanhok. There's so many choke points, and if anyone is looking your way, you are very, very exposed, so it can be very tricky. And with the positioning of the circle, you have to move west. So you have to try and figure out how you're going to do that. And it looks like ECG haven't quite done that, or at least Senior hasn't. They are going to go for the break.
Still trying to get in those shots. Doing it from relative safety as well. And they actually have University of Kent nearby. They're going to be driving on through with those vehicles, so a little bit further in the distance. I don't suspect they're going to be stopping over too much. But they're moving up onto UWL, who, as we've said, John, they like to stay in the center of the circle. And that could bring some pretty interesting fights if one of those squads is able to be knocked out early. And actually, over towards Camp Alpha on that island in the upper sort of northwest of the map, things are a little bit more chill over there because that seems to be the way that the circle's moving. There's less of a pressure for rotation.
Pressure on rotations for the Addicts, though, not quite there. There's no one really in front of them at the moment, but moving through Tapmok can be challenging at times. Older Mops, though, look to be locked into a fight with Keck W on the back lines. Hazard takes some shots with that QBU, as it is one player for either side knocked for now. A little bit of a separation coming in from Cheers Love, so they have to maybe look to regroup here. In the meantime, Atomical has been downed. No backup really close by. And they will be able to confirm it by the looks of it. Oldham Ops take one of their opponents for that second spot.
I don't want to be caught out too much in the open here. That's why we're seeing Itbra actually kind of strafe a little bit. He knows that he's in a slightly more vulnerable position. They're using this smoke and these trees to try and give themselves cover. They know that Keck W is over in the distance. Hazard's been a pretty good gunman, and he's watching straight into them. All right, he's changing direction now. He's deciding to run away a little bit, getting out of that line of sight. But Ops did know that if you were to start opening fire on them, well, that could have been risky. Hazard's going to be, oh, well, I was going to say cooking a nade, ready to throw in onto Firecracker, but looks like he's going to be putting it away for now.
His team dissuaded him potentially as they do get into a little bit of a better position to catch the push out from the nade should it come through, but it's not going to matter, not even going to be needed. Firecracker goes down, and I don't think the University of Stirling are going to let him get away with it either. Cheers Love off in the distance, nowhere nearby. Hazard as well. Really not going to be happy with that one as Keck W, they're down to 2 already as the Older Mops pick it up with 4 players total.
That's a great start there for them. Hazard from University of Stirling, laying down in the grass here. Looks like they're getting prepared to try and land some shots on another team, but I'm not entirely sure which team it is that's all that close to them. But in this part of the map, we can see teams that are close to one another. BR with University of Strathclyde and ECG over in the distance. We're going to start seeing some gunfights, and there's Kroll going to be falling to Hazy. This is a good start here. Strathclyde having a relatively good game so far. We're still a little bit early, John, so I don't want to speak too soon. But given that there's only 3 of them, I'd say things have been going fairly well.
Doing all right, aren't they? There's 15 teams still in it, though. They've got a little bit of a way to go. They've got a BR player in their way right now. Don't know if they've scouted the compound. Have to wait and see. ECG, disengage. That smoke is perfect to be getting away, but you have to wait for it to bloom before you leave the cover. Fortunately, Hazy not going to be so strong with the headshots against them as he was with Snake. And they are going to run away, run for the hills, quite literally in this case.
That is very much what it is they're going to be doing. They have that smoke for cover as well. And one of the nice things about Sanhok is it's even in the open areas, there's still a lot of things like trees and rocks and these little huts that you can use for cover. And because it's a smaller map as well, it's kind of nice. It adds that extra dynamic that you don't necessarily get in certain maps like Miramar, for example. You get really open, exposed areas that make it very hard to be able to have any kind of cover when you're taking on those fights. So that's one of the nice things about this map. And that does mean that sometimes, you know, if teams haven't gone down super early because of how small the map is, you can sometimes get them last a little bit longer because they've been able to protect themselves better.
Looks like the Strathclyde Strikers have been taking notes from the Battle of Hastings there, beating ECG. They've been beating a hasty retreat, drawing the Strathclyde Strikers into their trap. And as soon as they push on through, they're able to cut them down. Unfortunately, for the Strathclyde Strikers, looks like their run will end here.
That's going to be great for ECG. Maybe at this point, they're going to start to figure out that actually if you stay together as a team, that's usually beneficial for you. It's kind of a little bit late for them to be learning that, but any time is better than no time, right?
Seems to be so. They'll See what more time they can achieve. University of Stirling, 4 players still skirting the edge of the circle. They have to push on through the Oldham Ops, who are in their way. Kingstonian, they are remaining relatively quiet on the Northwestern Island. Hartin and Camp Alpha. Geo, the triple point's still in, so I know you're happy about that.
I am very happy.
As the rest of the teams on the Eastern Island need to start pushing through.
Yeah, and that's where we're going to see a lot of them kind of bottlenecked, I think, a little bit. They're going to be caught out in these fights. And this is what we're seeing between Ops here and also members from the Addicts falling too. University of Stirling, they're being a little bit more aggressive. I mean, at this point, they're sat sort of mid-table. They're not really up at the top. They might as well try and do something. Itba going in with the QBU. Not quite going to bring anyone down just yet, but his shot's pretty accurate, so he's going to move on forward.
He has got the side swipe against him, but the rest of his team should be able to back him up nicely. They've really got University of Stirling in a pretty tricky spot now. They are against the blue, which means they do have to move eventually. But so do the Oldham Ops. Do they stick around, try and get these 4 points on board when Kingstonian are still on that Northwestern Island, very, very safe and secure, and only 7 points behind them on the leaderboards?
And that's the thing that they have to be hyper aware of. Oldham Ops know they're in a precarious position when it comes to those all-important points. They know they've got to do everything they possibly can. That's why they're playing a little bit more careful this time. They don't want to be rushing into any kinds of fights that they don't know for definite, that they don't feel confident that they can win. And what you have here is, if the Oldham Ops do decide to retreat a bit more, well, University of Stirling, they've just used all of these smoke nades. That's utility that's been essentially wasted.
Ooh, a little bit of damage sent on the way to Hazard. But I think they've left him behind to play a little bit of a sneaky game here. I don't know if they've noted that he could still be nearby. Hazard now out in the blue, looking to try and heal it. They will be able to run through. The shots are there. Does he know that there's the flank coming in? They are going to push forwards. Wang there, now hiding behind this next rock. Behind the cover, he's going to spot it out, goes out wide, goes for the spray, but he is going to go down. That should be easy clean up there for University of Stirling. Oldham Ops looking to potentially just disengage completely from this one.
I think that would potentially be the best idea right now. They don't want to be taking a fight in a less than ideal situation. We're seeing Hazard start to run in. He wants to get in somewhat closer. But as you said, losing Itba, that's pretty bad. And he just seemed so unprepared for that kind of run-in from Wang. He knew he was there, but he didn't know exactly where he was, and that's where we kind of saw the spray just go all over the place. He just didn't have the intel.
Looks like ECG did make it past the quarry after all, and they are going to be into the next circle. Snake going to be cleaning up Johnny and friends. But ECG have found them on the sidelines. Now it's just Mass left alive. Of course, having lost a lot of his teammates earlier to ECG. Oh, sorry, no, it was Arctic who he lost to. Oh, going for the rundown. Going for the drive.
I'm so disappointed that didn't happen.
Yeah, well, we got one last game, you know.
We did.
You can only ask for so much, but Saint is going to go down to a nade from the young boys.
It's a pretty big loss. I mean, they still could res him. That's exactly what's happening here. Atom's bringing him back up. Of course, he's going to be relatively low health. He's going to be looking to heal himself up a bit, but losing Saint would be pretty bad for the side of UWL. It wouldn't be disastrous. We have seen before Syl really pick up the flack when Saint has gone down, but being one of those two major fraggers for the team, you don't want to be losing him.
Certainly not. UCL taking on Kingstonian, it seems, on that Northwestern Island with a quick little headshot. This is University of Kent. Their star player, Will, we're on board with at the moment on the southwestern side of the next circle. Got themselves a little hamlet of buildings there, little village to be holed up in for now. Now waiting for the secondary into the buggy. Looks like they're going to go for vehicle rotations this time around, and maybe straight into UWL. Oh, this could be bad. He's going for the swing out wide, and I think he managed to get the knock there. He will be able to get one, but he gets mown down by Atom. Disaster strikes for the University of Kent.
I swear they did something very similar in the last round, just being kind of aggressive, deciding to push on up because they feel confident they can take those fights. But as you say, that loss kind of, it shows you that it doesn't always go your way, regardless of how good you think you may be.
But now that
UW,
yeah, now that KEKW have seen that, they're going to be playing potentially a little bit safer. They know they just need to secure 2 more points than University of Kent, so they can just chill out. They can remain calm, try and get the best out of it. For UWL, they're certainly not done.
absolutely not. And UCL are going to be caught in the fray as well. But Sleeper, he's going to be going down. UFO is right by here, not going to get caught out in the explosion, but the attention of UWL is going to be brought onto them. They're going to know that that pressure is here. Nano's up on the hillside, potentially going to be scoring a different angle, but UWL are pushing up and they're going to get aggressive, and this is going to be highly pressurizing here. As we see, Clade's going to be falling, and he had a perfect angle. Says all you need to know.
UFO, the only player left there now for UCL up top the hill. They have 2 more down the hill, but I think he's going to be spotted out here. Not going to be lost in too long. The next circle, shifting just a little bit out to the east. Look at all those players on that northern peninsula of the Southwest Island, Geo. That's so many teams going to be trying to get some position.
Yeah, I think I'm really going to be looking at Portsmouth, at Tal especially, potentially going to be able to clutch out some of these fights. ECG have been doing a little bit better now that they've been staying together, and I said I want to be looking at Tal, and he's going to be falling to Benji there, so maybe I spoke a little bit soon. And actually, Portsmouth are really vulnerable with their positioning right here. Not quite what I expected for them. ECG looking so much more coordinated, and it just makes me wonder, where was this a couple of weeks ago, John?
Too little, too late. Even if they do manage to get it here, ECG sat in 8th at the start of this game, 122 points. They might be able to climb a few places. They certainly will get the kill onto Portsmouth and the team wipe as well. But will they be able to get too much more?
That is the question. Again, they're just another one of those teams you could end up playing that foil for some of those larger teams. Wang's going to be falling here as Ops get caught in this next gunfight. Ali as well, so the trade's going backwards and forwards. Itty too, and this is exactly the position that Ops don't want to be caught up in when they know that the team below them are so close in points.
So 1 versus 1 between these 2 teams. 2 players are still knocked for Oldham Ops for now. University of Stirling may be looking for a little bit of pressure, but they don't know where he's playing from. They just don't know where his position is. Yeah, okay, Stirling, they're just going to disengage. That might allow Ops to get a res off. Maybe looking for an off angle, but I just think he wants to get out, get into the next zone. 30 seconds remain until phase 5 begins.
And it's interesting at this point where we see these teams being a little bit more conservative and a little bit more vigilant about the decisions that they're making, because they know what's actually riding on this, and they know that there's a lot more of a strong effect based on everything that they do in these games. So not quite as aggressive as some of them, but Sile's going to be going straight in on Kingstonian here. Pretty bad for them. Of course, they are one of these teams who are really looking to secure their position. And Sile's saying no.
Looking less and less likely by the minute. UWL taking out the 5th place Kingstonian. They will be going for a couple more shots, and he takes a little bit of damage in the meantime, but they are going to stay alive. It looks like HT, not too sure what's going on there, but still have 1 for Kingstonian on the move. Will get knocked. And that might just be them out and about for the time being. Might just put an end to their hopes as well. Oldham Ops now looking pretty free and clear, despite having some pretty sticky spots out on the eastern side of the push. Now really the story for me, University of Kent and KEKW, how are they going to fare? Of course, Kent have already lost their star player Will. Osiris needs to try and hang on for as long as possible.
Yeah, and of course, KEKW also sitting there with just 1 player, so pretty hard there for both Kent and KEKW, are 2nd and 3rd place teams. Meanwhile, we look at teams like, of course, UWL, like the Addicts, like ECG, and even like Ops. They're all sitting there with a relatively strong composition, all with 3 or 4 the Addicts have all 4 of their players remaining, so it makes them pretty strong, and it's looking like they're going to be coming up against Ops here. Now, we've seen this already happen. These 2 teams can be aggressive. Ops can fall even when they have the man advantage. They don't have the man advantage this time.
1 player down. They'll be rolling with 3. The Addicts, look at them, they're playing super smart. They're just allowing older Ops to push on through. Maybe even use their utility, and they know they're being pressured out by the circle. It is going to move in that way. And so now they can just try and control the ground around them, control it as they come to them. They will spot out this push. Will they be able to get a kill off it? No, they won't, as NATO finds his way in, gets 1, and outside they find a second. They will be able to get the confirmation as well, and all of a sudden, well, the turntables, Gio, as you said last game, they are going to be able to find 1 and 2 to turn it into a 3 versus 2.
Bringing down Toxic was huge. He has really been the player that showed up for the Addicts so much, and the real big mistake that he made there was turning his back when he knew the Oldham Ops were running in. In that situation, you have to stay forward, and you have to really give them as best you've got from the muzzle of your gun. HT falling from Kingstonian, so it looks like things are really going to be over for that squad. But right here, right now, UWL putting pressure in on ECG, and this is where it's going to get bloody.
Oldham Ops looking to extend their lead, but UWL looking to do so as well. ECG trapped in the fight. Saint and Sile both very, very low. As teammates do get swept on up. Cable gets confirmed, going down. Atomical still alive for now. Benji looking for that off angle. The blue zone is going to push them in, and ECG have the outside position. They have a really good spot as well. They can shoot under the rafters, but so can Saint. He's dropping it down, and the young boys come out from somewhere. I don't know where they were hiding, but they will get taken down nonetheless. Saint looking for the spray, has to reload on the barrel. Really quite low on HP, but Benji feels his wrath, and Saint will be able to get the final kill and deal the final blow to ECG. 2 players standing for UWL.
And all they have to do now is just run out of the blue zone as they're doing, get to relative safety. But UWL really showing to us why it is they're sat at the top. Now, of course, Cheers Love is sitting in this compound in the center, but UWL, I don't think they're going to have any concerns, any reservations about moving on in. But right now, it's going to be Itty versus Popcorn, with Popcorn falling to his knees. And Op's going to have to be forced into this aggression, and everyone's starting to move on forward.
Coming in towards phase 7, Cheers Love has got a decent spot here. Does he want to take the fight? He pops up, goes for the spray, is on the lean, not quite landing the shots. Very, very low for KEKW, but he is going to go down, which could prove disastrous in their race against the University of Kent. Saint able to catch Nado on the push. 2 players versus 2 players. At the moment, the Oldham Ops cannot push up without being spotted by UWL, who have the wall and the zone, Gio. They are in a really strong spot.
They're in a fantastic spot. 5 players remaining. Ops do have the man advantage, but maybe not anymore now that NATO's going to be falling as well. That means that the other 2 have to push up. They have absolutely no choice. Itty and Ali, they've got to work together, have an idea. Who is their target? What are they going to be going for? Sile looks like he's going to be the first one who is aimed at. Okay, he's going to be knocked down. That means they can start to focus on Saint.
Saint behind the wall now needs to try and hold the castle. As Sile looks to get confirmed, will turn the edge of the wall and stay safe for now. It's 1 versus 1 as Itty is low, but the zone pushing in makes it so much harder for Ali to get up and get that res off. Sile much more likely to do so, but Saint might just want to take the 1v1. He knows that the pressure is coming out, goes for the spray, but he can't get it done, and UWL claim yet another chicken dinner. Fantastic showing from the University of West London, and at the top of the leaderboards, things really start to shape up.
Pushing themselves even further into that lead. And at the end there, it was really a hard situation for Ops to deal with. They were separated. He had no choice but to try and run across. That put him in perfect line of sight. And even if Saint were to be rezzed, the 2 remaining players were right next to each other, and they had that opportunity to do that should they need to. Obviously, didn't end up doing it. And UWL, I don't know what it is, John, but there is something so dominant about them, so absolutely consistent and powerful, and it is fantastic.
Brutal, savage, wrecked. We're going to go to a break. We'll see you soon.
Download and play now.
Hi.
Hey, buddy.
Yo, Mike, are you ready?
Wait. Should I go with the UMP9 or use it?
Sun's out, guns out.
Gear up for summer.
You ready?
Okay. Well,
Ready?
Sorry. I'm late.
Any plans for fall break?
happy graduation! You made it, bro. So proud of you.
Sorry I'm late. What a day.
I hear ya.
Get this.
on.
Hey,
Watch out! Take this!
that's
Hey!
a real battleground.
Are you ready?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Campus Championship. My name is John Allen. With me is Gio. We are, of course, in isolation, as everyone else should be. Make sure you stay safe. Wash your hands whenever you can. But do moisturize as well, because you can get dry hands from washing it.
Yeah, your hands will start to feel really gross if you wash them too much and don't use some nice lotion.
And if your hands feel gross, then Gio, you're going to find it really difficult to use your mobile phone to play PUBG Mobile. So that's no
true.
good. So you're going to have to keep up to date with that. And of course, we're going to be keeping you up to date with the standings of the tournament as they come in. Of course, after the end of that game, University of West London, of course, sat on 406, a huge points total, and far clear and guaranteed to be going home with that £1,000 prize, as well as the qualifying spot for PMCO Fall Split 2020.
Oh, that's massive. Imagine just signing up for a tournament and then ending up going into a professional esports league for the game that you're playing.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
I would go so far as to say that's pretty poggers.
Oh, John.
I
Oh,
know.
whipping out
I know.
language like that.
I know. It's all right. I'm sure we'll get through it. But KEKW and University of Kent still at loggerheads. KEKW still just ahead. 4 points, though, in it. Very, very close. And what's that coming over the hill? Oh, it's Oldham Ops as well. 232 points. They are within striking distance if they put in a strong performance, and KEKW don't do so well. There's definitely potential for them to jump up 2 or 3 places. Only 2, sorry.
Yeah, just 14 points behind. Again, that's entirely attainable, but they only have one more map that they can do it in. And this is where, if you're gonna shine on any map in the entire thing, it really has to be this one, because this is your last chance to try and solidify that place that you want.
We did have word from our producer as well that you can't over moisturize when you're doing your hands. I'm not sure why. I guess maybe it's just really inconvenient to you to touch anything if you have done that. But either
What
way.
if you want to slide like a slug? Do you remember those old Facebook posts that were like, sometimes I like to cover myself with Vaseline and slide like a slug, and it's like not funny in the slightest.
Okay. Apparently too much for it's bad for your skin. Too much is not good. And he's going to Google why. Thank you very much for that one, Costas. But the final map of today, of the tournament as well, indeed, will be Vikendi. The Frozen Tundra will be where we find our end and solidify that table, freezing it in place.
Oh, nice one. I'm liking the freezing puns, especially it's been so sunny here. It's been really nice. So just going all the way to the opposite end of the scale into Vikendi.
Is that from your sunny rooftop, that one?
Yes, from my sunny rooftop where I got entirely sunburned over the entirety of my body. And we don't need to talk about that, John.
The secret is to not go outside. As someone who doesn't have sunburn right now, I can confirm.
Okay, I'll take your advice next time, maybe, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Either way, these players aren't going to be getting sunburned because they're going somewhere very cold. Although the sun could still be there. I don't know. I haven't checked what the weather in Vikendi's like.
That's the thing. You can get snowburn. It's like it's a real thing. Because if you don't have
that's where it
protection, because the snow
reflects.
reflects the sun
Yeah.
straight at your face. It's dangerous.
All of that
Dangerous
UV.
out there. What a dangerous world. But I think, you know what, they're probably going to be more worried about the bullets flying their way. Lead is much more dangerous than a little bit of UV in this circumstance. We are going to be heading south of the island this time around, Gio.
This is really interesting because the question is going to be, are any of the teams going to invest in going that north onto the map, or are we going to have a really high concentration of teams stay on the southern hemisphere of this map initially as they come out of the plane? Because obviously, you know, if a team goes all the way up to, say, the Cosmodrome, Trevno, wherever up there, and they have to commute all the way back down again, are they going to do that?
It depends on where the circle falls. It might be the case that, you know, a team moves up to a central road, grabs a vehicle, and then if the circle moves south, they move with it. If it goes north, they're already ahead of the game. So we'll have to see what they end up opting to go for.
Well, this is where we start to see the spread. KEKW looking like they're sort of the furthest up in terms of moving up there. They're going up for that northeastern area of the map. ECG spread out as per.
a little bit closer together, maybe. But they are going to be fine. It looks like there's a little bit of a fight going on in Castle at the moment as well. As down in the Hot Springs. A couple of kills going over early, but we're really keeping our eye out for KEKW, University of Kent, and Oldham Ops. Of course, University of Kent are going to be the purple, team number 5. KEKW over on the eastern side, you can see them just south of Peshkova in the green. And then Oldham Ops as well. I believe they might be the ones taking the fight in the center. Oh, there we go. A little bit of a technical difficulty there. We are going to be hoping to get back into the game.
We will have to wait to find out where everybody is going to go, but I mean, I'm really intrigued to know what a lot of these mid-table teams are going to be doing. They know that they're not, going to be in the top 4. They pretty much, especially as you say, down to 8th place, they get the same amount of money. They're not going to be overly concerned about that, I shouldn't think. And so I'm wondering if they're just going to be a little bit more gung-ho, if they're going to be specifically trying to go for some of those better teams, just see if they can shake things up a bit. Because I know that if it were me, I would just want to create as much chaos as possible and completely change the course of this map from everything that we know about the standings so far. But maybe that's just me.
Maybe. I mean, we know, you like a bit of chaos, don't you, Gia? You like seeing that unfold.
A little bit, yeah.
Just
no,
a little bit.
I always, I want this. I never support the leader. I always support the underdog, and I always like to see a huge shake-up because it's the most fun. It's the most fun. It's way more fun than seeing the same winner all the time. So, sorry, UWL, but I want young boys to take this one.
Can you imagine? I think they haven't got a kill today so far. Three kills total.
This is where they unleash their real power. 4? This is where we find out this whole time they've actually been really good.
Okay, we have got word that we are going to rehost the lobby, so that playing path is gone. We're ignoring that one. That didn't happen. Don't know what you're talking about. It was never there. And also, we've also received word that according to Teen Vogue, this is our source on this, other
Teen
magazines
Vogue.
and news outlets are available. By over-moisturizing, you can cause the skin barrier function to weaken and risk clogging your pores. No one wants clogged pores.
I want to know why the producer's reading Teen Vogue.
Hey, look, it's just he's that kind
Can we
of
get
guy.
word from the producer about why he's been reading Teen Vogue?
Should we just get him in here? Just have a chat. No,
Be like, Costas,
I'm
come
sure,
on, let's report.
I'm sure he has plenty good reasons to be reading Teen Vogue and finding
Is
out
he
this valuable
secretly a
information
teen?
for us. To be fair, knowing how to moisturize properly is something that I have struggled with, and in fact, I probably should moisturize now, but I haven't.
I'm really glad that you feel like you can open up about the troubles you've had with moisturizing.
Thank you for your support.
You're really welcome, John.
Okay. Well, yeah. So we're looking at these teams, as we said. There's not too much sort of more to dive into there. We want to see the young boys hit that 4th kill and see if they can jump up maybe a little bit. They are only 1 point behind the Southampton Snakes there, so they do have a chance. Obviously, sat on 59 to the Snakes 60 total. And we are going to be. Oh yeah, okay. Let's take a look at this. Take a look at those standings. Towards the bottom, it's kind of not too far apart. So if one of them has a standout performance, they could jump up. The next ladder up in terms of the money is at 12th position. At which point you're, instead of earning £100, by the way, everybody here is already getting 100 quid, so that's pretty nice. At 12th place, you manage to get 150, and the next ladder up is going to be on 8th place, which brings you up to the 300 mark, all the way up until 5th, where it jumps in 150 increments right until the end, where of course we know that the top prize is £1,000.
Yeah, really not too shabby. What would you spend your earnings on?
Well, which place am I getting here?
Let's say you come last. Like, I want to be realistic.
Which means that I would get £25 distributed evenly across the team, right?
Yeah.
Okay, £25. I'd probably. I mean, if I was being, a little bit self-centered, maybe, I'd order in some food and have a nice little meal for one,
Yeah. What about if you got the 1,000?
Oh, if I got the 1,000, maybe to be honest, that's 250 quid. That's going in the savings.
Oh, wow. That's serious.
Yeah, although to be fair, I have wanted a new boom arm for my mic, so I might just get that. Or a new mic, actually. I've been looking at those.
Oh, I see. I'm perfectly happy with mine. Everyone, obviously, you can see it right here.
Yeah, mine's
Very
just,
nice.
mine's just down there. It's great. It's served me very well, but it's about 5 years old now. So.
Oh. Yeah, that's a little bit old. Well, if you were on UWL, because let's not get too carried away with this idea of you suddenly having 250 quid appear out of nowhere, because that's not about to happen. Well, at least to my knowledge, it's not. Yeah. So you're gonna have to save up for your boom arm, like most people have to do, I'm afraid, John.
Yeah, no, that was the plan initially. But then you offered me this free money, Gio. So
now,
I'm
I
like,
certainly did not offer you anything. It was all
you said
hypothetical.
you would pay me this money, right? It was on stream. We can watch the VODs. We can go back.
I don't have 250 quid to give.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I think we are going to go to a quick break whilst we get this lobby rehosted and underway for you. We'll come back when the lobby is ready to go.
Stay alive and be the one. PUBG Mobile. Play free now.
Download and play now.
Hi.
Hey, buddy.
Yo, Mike, are you ready?
Wait. Should I go with the UMP9 or use it?
Sun's out, guns out.
Gear up for summer.
Ready?
Okay. Well,
Ready?
Sorry. I'm late.
Any plans for fall break?
Happy
you made it, bro. So proud of you.
Sorry I'm late. What a day.
I hear ya.
Come on. Hey,
Watch out! Take this!
that's a real battleground.
Are you ready?
Hello and welcome back. We are going to be getting underway with the lobby very, very shortly. We're going to be heading pretty much straight into game. No delays any further, fortunately. Well, for now, anyway, touch wood. We are going to be heading again into Vikendi for the final map. If you're just tuning in, this is where the buck stops. UWL are going to sit atop the pile. They are guaranteed to be in first place. No way that they can lose, apart from being, I guess, disqualified, but that's pretty unlikely here. Looking at the leaderboards, we've got KEKW, University of Kent, and Oldham Ops all vying for those next 3 spots on the leaderboard, all very close together.
The playing path is pretty much entirely identical to the last, except just going from west to east this time instead of east to west. So it'll be interesting to see if these squads decide to go to similar places that they were heading before. We obviously didn't get to see where they actually ended up landing or any of those initial gunfights, as we had to dip out of that game pretty quickly. But it actually looks like a lot of these teams are going to be going northwards, where a lot of them before looked like they were going to be a little bit more centered.
The playing path being a little bit kinder as well. Starting on that western side allows that northwestern side to be a lot more open. The question is, where is the circle going to go? Where are they going to find themselves? The 3 teams we're going to be looking at, of course, KEKW, University of Kent, and Oldham Ops. Where are they on the map? Just trying to locate them at the moment. UWL sat right in the middle near Villa, but KEKW, I believe, I've lost on the screen. They might be northeast. I think that might be them. University of Kent, they're the purple team, Team 5, just near Mount Kresnik. And Oldham Ops, I believe they're going to be sat in Castle in close conflict with UCL.
You are right that KEKW are heading up towards that northeast side. They're just sort of lost in the fray. So many different teams are heading up there. And yeah, UCL, Oldham Ops, down in that sort of more central area. I think it was UWL who was around there before. Instead, this time they're a little bit further west and getting caught up here with Heriot-Watt University.
Close quarters combat with the table leaders for now. First peak not going either way. They don't really want to take the fight. Looks like he just wants to back out, but the question is, will this newfoundly aggressive UWL want to let them get away with it? You push up close, you might just feel the burn as Atom throws out that Molotov. Will zone him away, will push him out of the cover, goes to the spray, and wins the trade. UMP comes out on top, but there's the trade. The G36 does all the work it needs to do.
There you go. You see them all rushing in here just to help out their fallen teammate. But they're still going to be aware Heriot-Watt University are close on by. That's why we're seeing Saint trying to get some of these peaks here. Cable not too far away, but he is down, so he can't really peak too hard. And there we go. He's going to be falling there to that nade. That does leave UWL as just a 3-man squad. They don't have loads to worry about, of course, John, as we've spoken. They are so definitively in the lead that it's entirely, well, impossible for anyone else to take that from them. But of course, they don't want to be going out really early.
Exactly. Oldham Ops, they are going to be facing off in the castle with UCL. They definitely came out on top here already. As you can see, 2 players for UCL have gone down. Oldham Ops are still 4 strong. They will have all of that power to play with moving forwards. And of course, they do need a really strong game. They also need to try and hope that KEKW have a poor game, that University of Kent don't do so well this time around either. So we'll see what they're able to get done. But they need plenty of kills in order to try and push their way up that leaderboard.
I wonder if there'll be any instances of any of those teams trying to kind of bait altercations between other teams to get rid of some of those opponents they have who are vying for those 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place spots. I think that would be kind of 200 IQ strategy if they are able to pull that off, but it would be interesting to see if something like that does happen. Meanwhile, Saint trying to get some of these shots here on Night. Atom's here to provide some backup. They just want to be getting rid of these members of Heriot-Watt, get those early kill points, and it's looking like that might be about to happen.
That's how you do it. Saint takes the front push and Atom holds the back lines. Able to go for the trades beautifully, and they're able to clear it up. That's PUBG Mobile by the book. It is where UWL built their castle, and they will stand strong on it.
Now, KEKW, they're just getting some sights onto nearby team. Just having a look at where all these teams are for now. So there is a little bit of a high concentration towards Cement Factory, where those teams are going to be crossing the river. A little bit less dense over in the west. So that's going to be kind of interesting to watch out for. It does mean that a team like UWL, now they've dealt with Harriet Watt, likely going to be uncontested for a short while. You know, you've got a member of Young Boys nearby. I highly doubt that he'd really be able to provide any pressure really to UWL. So other than that, they seem to be relatively safe unless Ops potentially move westwards and push up onto them.
Will Clade be able to prove a thorn in the side, though, as well? Because he is very, very separate from Ghost right now. So if he takes the fight, he's pretty much in that 1v4. Not much doing there, but Ghost seems to be taking a bit of a fight as well near Dino Park. By the way, Dino Park is the best finishing circle location, bar none. It is the best place possible that you could see the Blue Zone shrink onto.
I see. Well, I'll take your word for it. I still like the triple point on Sanok, but, you know, you do you.
No. It's not my word. It's a fact.
No, it's not.
It 100% is a fact.
Well, either way, it looks like Ghost is just going to be chilling there. He was in a vehicle before and got knocked out. It looks like he's jumped back in a vehicle.
The triple point doesn't have a Stegosaurus, Geo. That's what I'm saying.
You're not going to drop this? You want to do this? You want to fight?
T-Rexes, dude. Well, like, what are you going to do?
Not die to the T-Rex?
But that's what makes it fun. I thought you liked chaos. KEKW over near Podvosto. They will be moving out to the west. And just trying to gain a little bit of ground. Relatively safe. They are sat atop the bunch of 3 that we're looking at in this final game really astutely. 4 points ahead of University of Kent at the start of this game. They want to maintain, they want to push through and try and avoid as much conflict as possible. Get those 20 points if they can for that chicken dinner. And that pretty much is going to see them safely into that second spot.
It's kind of risky to be running all the way across the field like this in such open space, but it doesn't look like they have all that much of a threat around them. You can see some of the members of Young Boys, but again, they kind of don't really count as a threat. It's more like a little buzzing fly that you might find around you that you're just going to swat into the wall. To be brutally honest.
It's like on an RTS when you have a scout unit.
I don't play RTSs.
Okay. Then that reference is
That's completely lost on me. Oh, a snowmobile. That's fun. I mean, these are the vehicles that we saw the UCL members on before you really interrupted me to tell me that there was a Stegosaurus in Dino Park, as if that really matters, as if that really makes it better than the triple point in Sanok. But, you know. Oh, he's going to get shot as well.
Yeah,
Good.
Seems like the snowmobile is going to mobilize him straight into the crosshairs of UWL.
He really just ran straight up into that.
Yeah, I think he got trapped on the little balcony. You can see the fencing there.
Yeah.
And then just sort of thought, well, crap. What am I going to do now?
Yeah, maybe, and it didn't work out all that well for him. You couldn't really run into a worse team at that point. UWL, yeah. You run into them, yeah, the chances are that you're not.
You won't be running away from them after.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Now, just looking at Johnny from Johnny. Why? I wonder why he named his team after him, or if they had a vote.
Yeah, maybe they had like a 1v1v1v1, and whoever won got to be the team name and friends.
Yeah. Well, either way, we haven't actually seen all that much of them today. They are just going to be looting it a little bit, and now having a look at University of Kent. Osiris, he was left on his own earlier when the entire team fell without him.
Yeah, Will was caught in a little bit in the open last round, so hopefully they'll be able to survive a little bit longer, have a little bit more impact this time. Sat only 4 points behind KEKW, who are now on your screens.
And that's why we're going to be looking very closely at these teams in second, third, and fourth spot, because the points margin separating them is so narrow that depending on their performance in this one map, those standings could really, really be switched around and make a huge difference for these players.
Yeah, Oldham Ops, luckily, they're one of the more aggressive teams going, which means that they do know how to handle themselves in a gunfight. They're currently sat at 232 before the game, and they will be potentially looking to gain a pretty hefty sum. They are 18 points behind KEKW, which means they need 18 points more than KEKW in this game to draw even. I'm not too sure, but I think the tiebreaker normally is on kills, which would put them ahead as well. So,
yeah, KEKW only sitting at 96 kill points?
Yes, before the game, yeah, 96.
Which is less than any of the others in the top 5.
Absolutely. Actually, in the top 5, Kingston only have 88. The top 4, absolutely.
All right, I was speaking from memory because I don't have it up in front of me. So either way, I knew that a lot of KEKW's points have come from their placement as opposed to their kills. And so this is why you kind of have that balance where you want to be aggressive in this map because you want to be racking up those kill points, but you also don't want to be so aggressive that you needlessly die early.
UCL. He's living up to his namesake here. He's playing the Ghost. He opened the door. They probably heard that.
He opened the door, therefore he's playing like a ghost. You're absolutely right.
He's being a little bit of a spook.
Is he?
He's a spook.
A bit
He's
of a
boy.
spook. One
spooky boy in the corner. He opens the door. Ooh, it's haunted.
He's certainly going to be sending shivers down Senior's spine. Senior had a pretty brutal death in the last round, and it doesn't really look like anyone else from his team is nearby. In fact, no, they're not. They're so far away, so close to UWL as well. So if he goes down here to a member of, I don't know, KEKW, University of Stirling, anyone who's nearby, and the rest of his team go down to UWL, well, that's bye-bye ECG.
Bye-bye ECG, indeed. They are sat on 8th at the table, which I believe is near one of the pay jump barriers. I'll double-check that. Yeah, they are sat in 8th, which is £300. 9th below them is 150. And they are currently sat 22 points clear of the Strathclyde Strikers. That's Arctic in-game, Team 11. So they should be pretty happy with their spot. Jumping up a pay gap, probably not going to happen either. So, again, they're a team that, whilst they want to do well, probably not going to have that big of an impact when it comes to the standings moving forward, certainly not in terms of the amount of money they're going to get in the prize pool.
Seeing the next circle here, it's fairly central as the blue starts to move in. Will trying to get some of those shots. ECG, they're just running away, man. They don't want anything to do with this.
They're just sending straight off, and they going to try and get to safety. On Vikendi, the normal strategy should be to move central to the circle and occupy a compound. That's what we've seen everything in the pro levels do. It's so strong to have that sort of oversight because the rotations are very, very difficult, and breaching compounds is very, very tricky as well. It can prove to be fatal in a lot of circumstances. So moving early and moving often on Vikendi can prove to be very, very handy when it comes to that rotation game.
And if anyone's going to know that, it's going to be Will. Because Will, being a pro player himself, he's going to have access to all of these general strategies that he's used to playing. It's his literal job. So that should give University of Kent an advantage in this scenario.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, there are still 2 teams ahead of them in that regard, so maybe being... I mean, to be fair, you know, he did just get 3 of his mates to download the game just to play, and they never played it before, so they're doing pretty well with that in mind. Absolutely phenomenally, to be honest. But they still have some very stiff competition to be contending with. KEKW, obviously, and Oldham Ops in their sights at the moment.
KEKW, again, they're not trying to rush into anything. We can tell this kind of by their statistics as well. We spoke about their kills, and actually they're going to be losing Atomical here. Not a great start for this potential fight. But when you're going up against UWL, again, it can be pretty concerning. Getting ready is to throw in that frag grenade. Question is it going to get anyone? No, none so far. And KEKW, they are going to have to react to this at some point. They can't just wait for UWL to push up on them, because we've seen how that goes in the past. And hint, doesn't go that well.
Ghost is still being a little poltergeist up on the roof. He's just
chilling, man. He's vibing.
He's just chilling. He's just... Any ghosts in the chat? I don't know. But Saint gets knocked, actually, to the Oldham Ops. Okay, they're coming into the fray as well. This could be really big here. Of course, we've got multiple of the top teams actually going hell for leather right now against each other. The Oldham Ops, UWL, and KEKW were very, very close by. Hopefully, we can get some eyes on that action. That could decide the top of the leaderboards right here and now if we're not careful. It looks like at the moment we're sat with 3 players alive for the Oldham Ops. KEKW get caught in the middle as UWL get eliminated from the top spot. And that's 5 kills for the Oldham Ops. They needed a high point game. And if they can take KEKW down on the back of the fight as well, they might just be in with a chance of jumping up for that 2nd spot.
Yeah, this could be massive for them. They're just ensuring they're looted up. They're all ready. And there you go, Ghost. Ghost gone down. No longer the poltergeist haunting Senior. But now...
Oh, hang on a minute. I think Senior did go down in the end there.
You know, it happens. It's those mysterious, paranormal ways. But either way, Ops, they're getting prepared. They want to take on KEKW. They know they've got to be ready. They don't want to rush into anything too early.
Oh.
But look at this.
Oh, a little bit of a clash between them on the open ground there. It is the Strathclyde Strikers coming into contact with KEKW as they try and escape from the Oldham Ops clutches. I think they did manage to get one, so the Strathclyde Strikers do not have an impact on the sidelines. They're playing with 3, so they are really adverse to going for these conflicts.
Just seeing how Cheerslove is positioning here a little bit further afield than the rest of his team. They're just moving on. It's looking like they're moving in so they can provide support for these oncoming fights that they know is going to happen. Actually, rushing for the vehicle is what it looks like. That'll give them the opportunity to rotate a little bit faster.
Yeah, it should be a good decision to have that, to be able to mount up, get to a compound in the middle and try and regain some sense of normalcy, some sense of consistency as it goes. Oh, it looks like KEKW be found out. It's OP abound for the Oldham Ops, as they will be able to find 2. Just 1 remaining, I believe, for KEKW.
Certainly not great for them that Hazza has fallen. He's really one of their gunmen that they want to be relying on in situations like this, but now University of Kent looking to get in some shots on Kingstonian. Another one of those relatively top teams, sitting in 5th place, I believe.
Yeah. Currently 5th place with 207. Trying to breach a gap up to 232. Probably not going to happen. They just want to try and keep an even keel. Not take too much damage on the meantime. Okay, KEKW do have 2 players alive. Sorry, I was mistaken earlier, but they will be going for it there. Kingstonian, though, they're facing off against Kent, who again need to put in some strong numbers to try and maintain that spot near the top of the tables.
They're just playing patiently here. And this is what's interesting. When we started out today, we saw a lot of very aggressive play. We're here on Vikendi, and everything's a little bit more patient because people know what the stakes are. They know that this is the last chance that they can have an effect on those standings.
Ooh, a little push-up, not going to go well for Kingstonian. Will's there, he gets the spray, easy as pie. Going for a little bit of those rhythmic taps that we've heard a few times from him already on today's broadcast. Maybe a little bit of style points there for him as they continue to go for the push on up. Kingstonian making a break for it, looking to try and maybe even get the res here. As they do have a couple of smokes to be playing with. Will playing on the wall. His teammates there, they do have vision out the window, and they will be seeing all of this. But maybe they're trying to bait the shots out from Kingstonian and allow Will to get those refrags. But no, they're just waiting it out. They're playing it slow, like you said, Gio.
That's exactly what this is. And the fact that Kingstonian have actually been able to play their lives this long and survive this long, that's a pretty impressive feat. And that's something that they should be pretty happy with. The Diddy G is going to be bringing Johnny down there. Starting to get some of these more, I want to say, peripheral kills on the board. Yeah. These aren't high value kills, but they are still going to get you points.
Certainly are. Next circle comes on in. And it shrinks just to the west of Goroka Lake. Of course, the frozen lake there, very difficult to move around. So teams on the north will be crunched together on the northern side of Goroka. That southern flank as well. Not the easiest to move through.
I'm actually really interested in what NATO's doing here because he's flanking all the way around. And it's looking like he can potentially pick off some really slightly easier kills for, you know, with these teams like Snake, who are right here. He's got to be worrisome of Firecracker maybe potentially, but if he can get, for example, Big Boyka from Young or the players from Snake, then that could be some easy points that he can add on to his team's tally without having to get too involved in what's going on with everything else on the map.
Yeah, that's multiple team members of the older Mops as well. So they are going to have a strong foothold in the center of that circle. That's what we like to see. Move early into the center, claim a compound. They're very near that drop as well. You give a good gun to the older Mops and, well, you're going to see fireworks. But will you see Firecracker? Not too sure. KW have to worry about it, certainly.
The Addicts, they have been a thorn in the side of a number of these teams. They haven't been at the top, they haven't been the absolute best, but they've been good enough. And it's always fun to see them shooting things out. Although I say that, Popcorn is going to be falling. Amarion just watching from afar. He knows that Diddy G is up on this hill. Question is, what is he going to do about it? Well, he's going to throw in a Molotov, potentially dealing some damage, potentially cut off those rotations.
Ooh,
make it
nice.
life a little bit easier.
Swing out from Spherix into the blue, a little bit unexpected, but the refrag is there. He will go down to Benji, still atop the mountain, behind the rock. Omarion now starting to go up the hillside, looks for the push, out wide he goes, but he's not prepared. Will fall, and Benji still stands strong. Toxic has to go for the reload. He's taken half HP. Will he be able to get the refrag? No! And it's ECG to stand tall for now. Diddy G on a knee, but will be able to crawl towards it. Not too sure he's going to make the zone, however. Zone 4 spells doom. You can't get up out of that zone 4 blue. You need to be in the safe zone. And I don't think they're going to be able to get him rezzed in time.
Makes it so much harder. Here is that frozen lake about which you spoke. Kingsionian all going to be hanging around there. And you can, of course, see that not only, as you say, it's hard to get around, but there is that keen line of sight over it. If you're on one side of the lake, you can pretty much see anyone who's on the other. So you need to ensure that you have those longer range weapons as well if you're going to play around there. But University of Sterling aren't too far away. We're seeing them here. Hazard just picking up some loot. That could be a potential fight that is relatively soon to ensue for these two teams.
Kingstionian and the Strathclyde strikers above. The nade is pulled, it is cooked. It's going to send them packing. They have to jump on out. You can see Hassie now and moved down onto the sidelines. You got some overlook coming in with that Orm to try and spot someone out as they flush them away. They will spot one, looking for the second as well. Sunex has to regain composure, but no, he ducks away. Doesn't go for the spray. And the Orm isn't going to find anything either. Kingstionian let the Strathclyde Striders walk away. Oh no, there comes the spray. Okay, they're just sending them straight into the frozen lake. 1, 2, and they will be able to try and get the confirm. Hassie, we've seen how devastating he can be with those headshots. Will he be able to land any here? Oh, the shot gets stolen. That's Strathclyde coming in. Not Strathclyde, sorry, Sterling. They're coming in with a cheeky little sniper shot. One of Kingstionian goes down. And they are going to continue to roll it on forwards. Keck W still going, so are the older Mops. They continue to push on forwards.
Gunfire still coming out as Hazy is going to be the last to fall here to Kingstionian. And they're really taking this area for their own. But University of Sterling, they are very, very close by. Seeing Catfinks there fall off the map to the blue. That's something that we may see happen to Mass as well. So much damage being dealt. NATO's actually shooting into them as these players over here on the west get caught up as the blue zone catches up to them. So he's kind of really got them trapped.
Yeah. On the northern side as well, you've got the older Mops actually guarding the route on in for Keck W as well, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that in the meantime. And actually, Firecracker goes down. That leaves one player alive for Keck W. This could be the end for them. They've only got one player, as I say, on the northern side. They are still in contention. Ali waiting behind, but he needs to get a move on. He needs to get a shifty because the blue zone is not kind at this stage. You cannot just sit out in it. We're into phase 5, and it does a little bit more in Tickle.
Yeah, it can be a lot of damage dealt into you. Cheers, love, applying a bandage here, but he needs to be careful as he's really very close to that edge. But he's really kind of been showing up for his team in this round. I think he's been doing fairly well. and I don't know, 23 players alive, so about a third of the original player base. So there's still ways to go, but it's looking positive for KEKW. Itba, he's also got the ghillie suit. Not the first time we've seen one of these today. He's going to be getting the shot down onto Crowcool. And Kind of Not So is also down there. He's bleeding out, and it's basically impossible for these two players to help each other out here.
10 kills already on the board for the Older Mops. This is the game that they needed. They were sat 18 points behind KEKW, 14 points behind University of Kent. So picking up these points now is going to be really, really important for them to try and breach that gap. Not to mention, they might just be able to play spoiler to KEKW as well. They are pretty nearby. However, Kent, they have a central compound in the zone. They have a beautiful position here. Can they defend it as everyone else is bearing down?
And this is where it's going to start getting messy. You can hear the gunfire in the distance. Sonar Mirza is going to be the first to fall. University of Stirling Hazard's going to be the one cleaning up that kill. And we're starting to see the rest of University of Stirling moving in, crossing the road. But having some fall here. Salter falling to his knees. Will's really nicely positioned here up on this rooftop. He just has perfect line of sight onto anyone who may be moving in. University of Stirling right now are really just at his mercy.
Could this be the moment of the young boys? I think there's a player behind them who is looking pretty much directly away. That is the first kill, by the way, for University of Kent. So they do have a little bit of a way to go if they want to keep up. 12 kills now on the board for the Older Mops. They've moved all the way in. I don't know if I've lost track of KEKW, but are they even still in it? They've spotted out Will on the roof as well. Oh, so close to going down. That could have been disastrous. 7 teams remain, Gio.
It's starting to get sweaty palms. KEKW are still in as we're seeing Cheers Love start to move on in, and everyone else is really a little bit in the distance in comparison. Now, everybody here really does need to be a little bit worried of Oldham Ops. As you say, 12 kills on the board for this team so far. There's 3 of them remaining. They are being formidable. Molotov up on the roof trying to threaten Will, but he's fine. He's just using his first aid kit. And having this sort of overwatch is gonna make it significantly harder for any of these opponents. In gets thrown a nade. He's switching things out. He wants to throw in the Molotov as well.
The Older Mops have their building. They have the barn. And they're trying to control it.
Trying to peek. Just wants to have as much information as possible of the positions of his enemies. Hazard from afar, trying to get in some snipes, pick off those members of Kingstonian, dealing in pretty hefty amount of damage as well. I mean, peeking if you're on Kingstonian when you know that there's someone looking down a scope like that at you, that is a risky play.
16 players alive, but 7 teams still in the mix. It's a really low average, just over 2 players per team. So teams have felt a little bit of pain. Ali goes down. This is University of Kent defending not only their position, but they're thrown in the 3rd spot as well. They might just try and get a little bit more. KEKW now in a fight as well. Cheers Love. I think that was onto one of the young boys. And they will get a little bit more done. The smokes are there pretty heavily for the Older Mops. So they should be able to get that res if they go for it. A nade goes in just to confirm the kill. Get a little bit of loot on board as well. Kingstonian still taking fire from up the hill from Hazard. Will drops down. He gives up his position on top of the roof.
That's pretty huge, but people are still going to be looking out on those rooftops because they're just such an easy place to have that advantage. But it will also be huge because people now don't know where Will is. And he could really shoot from any angle, provide information from any direction. And that's a pretty hefty threat. The guy who knows the most how to convey information, having that information and you not having it on him, that's something to be concerned about. Because not only have you got that, but you have all these other teams surrounding you too. Ajinkia trying to see if he can get Cheers Love. He knows exactly where he is, but the question is he going to actually be able to make him fall? For now, he's still standing.
Hazard finally removed from the side of Kingstonian. They will not have that threat any longer, but they got more to worry about as the rest of the teams are in very close proximity. They're going to be able to close that one out as well. Ooh, a knock to the blue as well for University of Stirling. Just Wang left standing. for the squad. The next circle going to move towards Kingstionian, and all of these top fragging teams are going to have to move. That's KEKW eliminated. The Oldham Ops now, they have 2 players alive. They have 14 kills. Will it be enough? Will they be able to climb all the way to the top? Only time will tell. They've already guaranteed themselves 5th position in the game. They want to climb a little bit more, get as many points as they can. Ideally, they want to eliminate University of Kent next to try and secure themselves, but Kent have 4 players alive with 2 kills as well. It's going to be difficult to get them out.
Yeah, and Kent's position here really is what's making it so hard for any of these other teams to step out and make that aggressive first engagement, because you know that there's such a high chance that you could be caught out in their angles, in their lines of sight. And so it's really going to come down to which teams are going to relinquish their positions first and give themselves up to the enemies. And that's something that Oldham Ops, they don't want to be the first ones to do that because they have too much to lose.
Unfortunately, though, they are the ones who are on the outside edge of the circle. Will drops down. They might have heard that. They might have spotted him out. Got the intel. We'll have to wait and see. But no, he's still okay for now. I think they know exactly where he is, though. He's making enough noise. They are close enough to hear. They have to push, though. The circle is in. And so do University of Kent. They can't stick around to take this fight on the back. They have to just keep pushing. It's an unfortunate situation for both of these teams, and it is such a crucial time to have to make it.
Yeah, they can't allow themselves to get caught out to the play zone. Absolutely not. Too much damage can be dealt. We're seeing Ops start to move in.
Oh.
Will's going to be downed.
And they are going to continue to go for it. The Micro Uzi is there. They've downed Will. They might just want to run for it. They can't hang around in this blue zone. They're going to go for the push, but into the waiting arms of Kingstionian. Only 1 player now standing for the Oldham Ops. Will Kent be able to outlast, outlive, survive as long as possible? Johnny and friends get eliminated in the meantime. They fall to Nado as he continues to push on through. Kingstionian looking to put up numbers on the board as well, as I think that might just have been... Yes, I think it was. It was Kent going down as well. And now Kingstionian are in a battle with University of Stirling. They clean it up. And now it's the Oldham Ops in a fight for the top of the table. Will they be able to push into 2nd place? 2 more kills on the boards for them, potentially, and bring them up to 18. If they get the chicken dinner, that would be a 38-point game. It would be huge. It might be enough.
Just 4 players alive. Ops and Kingstionian. Kingstionian very nearly got caught out before they ran into that warehouse without being aware that the University of Stirling players were in there. They've had to spend some time building each other back up, the resurrect as well as the healing, but now they're feeling a lot more ready. Got to avoid the fire from the Molotov, but both of these teams know that they have to move in, and it's looking more like Kingstionian are going to make that first engage. They need to work together if they're going to get it. The question is, are they going to do it?
Oh, it's happened. Oldham Ops are going to be able to claim both of those kills, bump themselves up with those 2 extra points. Not only that, but they jump into first for the chicken dinner. 38-point game, Gio. If my calculations are correct, I think they might have just managed to snag that 2nd place and profit a total of 300 quid off doing so.
And this is the game that I said at the beginning Oldham Ops needed to have. We knew that it was in them. We knew that they had that fight, that ability, that skill. And yet so many times they've allowed themselves to be caught out. And yet in this game, at the end of Vikendi, we had so many teams, so many players still on the board, even when the play zone was getting smaller and smaller, and they managed to finish it off. They managed to play patiently, play right, and they managed to finish that out. And that is huge for them. For the last game of this tournament, to be able to finish it like that, they'll be feeling really happy.
Absolutely. That's phenomenal. Phenomenal performances from them, and of course, from the rest of the players involved. UWL, though, you know, we haven't really talked about them that much this game, and you know, rightly so. They kind of already guaranteed, but fantastic, consistent performances. They are going to be in first. I don't know exactly what the points are. We're getting the admins. Well, the admins are sorting out all the scores at the moment. We're just double checking because, of course, it's very important that we get them right. We don't want to be giving you misinformation, which is why I said, you know, I'm not entirely sure on my calculations, but I think that the Oldham Ops will manage to get 2nd. We'll have to wait and see, though, for the official word on that one. But yeah, UWL, phenomenal stuff. Just sticking to what they know, sticking to what they know works, and making it happen for them. Obviously, today they've been a little bit more gung-ho. They've been a little bit more aggressive, maybe trying to get that practice in for the PMCO, for which they have qualified.
Yes, I mean, going to PMCO, that is a huge honor and it's a massive deal. And one thing that comes to mind for me is that if this is how consistently this team play at this level, imagine if they have a coach, imagine if they have analysts, imagine if they start to work with other people in the scene who can help build them up and be a better team, and they could potentially start to be legitimate threats to these pro teams that we've seen throughout various Club Open seasons. Now, you were right, John. Oldham Ops, they are now comfortably sat in that second place. They managed to clutch it out 8 points above PUBG Mobile KEKW, who have slipped into third.
And of course, congratulations to the University of West London. 413 is where they will end their tournament run. 7 chicken dinners for them, 4 for the Oldham Ops as well, including that last one we just saw. 133 kills for the Oldham Ops, but look at that, 202 kill points for the University of West London. Just on kill points alone, they hit 6th place.
I mean, that's absolutely disgusting. That's 100 more kills than PUBG Mobile KEKW got, and PUBG Mobile KEKW were doing pretty well. I just think it's been so impressive. I mean, one thing I also want to call out is Young Boys didn't finish last.
No
they
way.
Came second to last.
Wow, what a turn up for the books there. 64 points total, not getting us. They've got 3 kills across the entirety of the tournament.
Love it.
Which is, you know, fantastic stuff. Kingstonian, though, still in 5th place. I think they've been in 5th place for as long as I can remember.
A long time.
Really, yeah, really, really great stuff. Obviously, I'm happy for my hometown, University of Kingston. I'm happy that they're able to show up and get into that top 5, which is sort of that glory bracket that we like to talk about. So I'm pleased with their performance there. Maybe greater things for them in the future with their 2 chicken dinners. Double that up, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, I mean, things started really going well for them. I think it was in week 2 when they first got their first chicken dinner. And before then, they'd sort of been teetering on the edge of, are they going to be good? Are they going to be bad team? We didn't know. They got their first chicken dinner. Things started to look up for them a little bit. And I think they gained confidence as well after that happened. And that's as they started to move up a little bit more. So yes, certainly not a team to be overlooked. And these are teams who, especially the ones at the top of the standings, who you hope are going to stay together as teams. I mean, especially a team like University of Kent, who weren't a team before. They were just Will and his pals that he made download the game. You hope that actually they're going to stay together, develop their skills, be able to compete more in competitions like this, and consistently improve and become very, very good teams.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what the grassroots scene is here for. But that concludes the PUBG Mobile Campus Championship. For the UK universities, obviously run by NSE. Thank you very, very much to that. Thank you guys for watching. It's been brilliant. My name is John Allen. With me has been Gio. Thanks to all the other casters who have been there. I think we've had Trid, who you said before. We had Scoundrel in the week before. We had Alex Byfield as well, I think. Did you cast with Alex, or was that Trid?
No, he casted with Scoundrel.
Okay, yeah.
On week 1.
Thank you to all of those guys, as well as the production squad behind it. It's been a blast. It's been great to see what the UK universities have to offer, and we'll be seeing more of them in the PMCO. But for now, that's going to be it from us. Thank you and good night.
Stay alive and be the one. PUBG Mobile. Play free now.